What's up, man?
I'm just gonna start every time with a blurt. Hi, hey, Donnie. Hey, Donnie. I was thinking that maybe we have a different song. I don't know if that's the new song anymore.
Okay.
I've become obsessed with Red Hot Chili Peppers since the last you and I chatted.
I could pick Chili Pepper songs. I could do that all day.
It could be anything, as Ryan Turford would say. It could be anything. I have been obsessed with a song that I don't even know why, for whatever reason. In the past, I remember thinking this song is not good.
Ooh.
And I feel like there's like a note in the song that Kiedis hits that I'm like, I don't like that note. But this was in the past. This is past me saying this.
Sure.
He hits this note and I'm like, I don't like this. And I would change the track.
Most people just don't like Anthony Kiedis. It's like Anthony Kiedis is the thing that's stopping most people from loving the Red Chili Peppers.
Why?
Have you never seen that?
No, but I guess so. I guess I can see it.
There is I would say it's got to be bigger than a vocal minority.
Yeah.
The people that don't like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I would say 88% of that entire group, it's just because of Anthony Kiedis.
Because of like who he is or like his vocals?
Yes.
Because I feel like that would be the case for any band that you don't like. Like chances are you don't like the singer.
Yeah, it is who he is. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And then some people don't like the way he sings, or if you even, like if you call it singing. And then some people really hate the lyrics. I've seen that from all those different people. But
yeah, it's weird. It's like I guess I just don't understand it. But there's one, and it's a song that is on the surface very simple. It's like your classic like 4-chord kind of song. Pretty typical, pretty simple. And it's like you don't have to like there's this one note, you don't have to take this note. And the song I'm talking about is Wet Sand.
Oh, that is my jam.
So I don't know
my favorite Chili Pepper song.
So this was past me. I've had since you and I were chatting, I was listening to the Stadium Arcadium double album on almost repeat, just like flowing all the way through. By Coeur d'Alene, I have hats from everywhere I go. So this is when I've got this Oakland A's hat when I was in San Francisco for Kind of Funny Live too. Speaking of changing preferences and what you like, I don't know that I would travel to San Francisco.
You don't want to go. You don't want to fly across the world to see a Kind of Funny podcast.
I don't think so. Not now. Sean? I don't think so. That's 2014 me, whenever that was. Sure. But yeah, I like to buy hats wherever I go anywhere. But so anyways, I'm listening to this album on repeat, like I haven't listened to an album like this in a long time. Just like
because it's their magnum opus. It's the best.
Pretending like listening to an iPod or your iPhone or Spotify or whatever, and pretending like you've just got a CD in the player that you refuse to change is the way to listen to music. And this makes 100%. Me very old to say it that way.
No,
I think it might, but I'm not listening to 20-second clips on TikTok.
There's a craftsmanship to making an album, and the order of the songs and the peaks and valleys they go through is an art form that bands used to understand.
Yeah.
And Stadium Arcadium is an excellent candidate to prove that.
Yeah.
And it's just, look, we ended our last show that was like 5 hours long of me going on and on and on about how much I love the Chili Peppers and how much I love that album. We can keep doing it. I'm here for it. Because I do love that.
I'm hanging on the one song, the Wet. So I was
my favorite Chili Peppers
couple weeks ago. I'm still doing this. I'm painting the walls and I'm doing some renovations. So funny and whatnot.
I just got my alert 15 minutes ago. They're like, "Hey, the concert's upcoming. You should print your tickets."
Oh, really?
Ticketmaster alert. Yeah, we're going to see them in like 10 days or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm gonna miss the podcast.
Which podcast?
Our pod. It's on a Wednesday night. Like I'm gonna miss PSVG 1 week soon.
Oh,
I'm not sure if it's next week or the week after or the week after that, but it's one of the next 3 weeks. I gotta bounce.
Oh, I'm so jealous, man. That is I had like a moment with a song. I haven't had a moment with this. I know, just by myself, like doing my thing. Maybe I was tired or whatever, and I'm just kind of like going song to song, and all of a sudden this song hits and it's doing its thing. And normally I'm in the car and I hit the point in the song that I don't typically like. And I would skip past it, but because I'm just doing renovations and everything, it keeps going. Right. And all of a sudden, the song starts building.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and I'm like,
and just
What
keeps
the
going.
hell is this? Like, how have I missed this? Like, how have I missed this? This album came out like 15 years ago or something.
People hit skip way too soon. They gave up on it.
Holy shit, man. Like, I haven't had a moment like that with a song in forever. And it's just a repeat of words I actually don't even know what they mean. You don't form in the wet sand.
I do. In the wet sand. Yeah.
I do. Whatever that means, like he's obviously like, and the lyrics are like the whole album really, there's a ton of struggle with addiction and things like that, and troubled relationships and whatnot. I don't exactly know what he's claiming. You don't form in the wet sand, but I do. Like, is that like wet sand is not like desirable? It's like it should be bad, but wet sand should be bad, and like it's not good for you, but it's good for me. I don't exactly know what that line is, but he repeats it, and it's very heartfelt, and it leads into one of the best solos I've ever heard in my entire life. To the point, Donnie, where
big Frusciante energy.
My family is away right now. I busted out my album, my amp, and my guitar. I'm learning this song, dude.
Nice.
I'm learning how to play this song.
This makes me so happy.
I am in love with it, and I just wanted to tell you that. I've listened to it on repeat over this song now. The song I didn't like, and I want to find exactly what the lyric is that he says when it's something about going out for a walk. Oh, I'm on the wrong song. I'm looking for the lyric. I'm like, where's the lyric? I'm looking at the wrong
you don't form in the wet sand. You don't form at all.
You don't form at all. Yeah. What is that?
In the wet sand, I do.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. And it's like it's a very emotional part of the song, and I don't know that I understand the lyric. I don't think I've ever really had such a discrepancy.
I have no idea if this is right or wrong. It just happened to be on the website when I clicked lyrics. It's all in the final lines. Quote, you don't form in the wet sand. You don't form at all. I do. Mm-hmm. Anthony has struggled throughout the years to overcome his addiction, conquer the world through music, and find meaning in everything. It all amounts to a very small, temporary impact, making a form in wet sand. Ultimately, the ocean of life washes everything away, but through his work, struggle, and searching, he has made a tiny impact on the universe, which is what he strives for and what he ultimately is proud of, even if nobody else will ever understand it.
I love that so much.
I used to call this, if you guys didn't know by our last podcast, me and my friends who are in several bands have had a long-standing musical combative discussions.
Yeah,
we share our difference in music opinions, and you've never met somebody so prepared to discuss and argue
I have notes.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. But I used to refer to, I guess, if I'm taking a meaning, what I'm taking away from that is I actually used to refer to this as a kind of a quintessential element when we're talking about like the great bands of all time. Mm-hmm. And I would call it like their immortality factor. Like all the greats have a song or a handful of songs, that are immortal. That'll just be beyond them. It'll last forever.
That's great.
You think of the Beatles and you think of Zeppelin. That music will never go away. It'll never go out of style. And the Chili Peppers have a few of those songs that are immortal. Mm-hmm. And there are very few bands that reach, like that immortal factor. But like Under the Bridge, that is an immortal
oh my
record.
Gosh.
It'll never go away, ever.
Yeah.
They'll be dead hundreds of years over, and people will still be listening to Under the Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I took away from at least this person's breakdown of what the wet sand means. But wet sand is I've always thought it, like when you're everybody that really loves a band, and I don't mean to compare fandom, but
sure,
everybody has that band that they know 100 songs of, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I made a Red Hot Chili Peppers playlist for Delvin, who would never listen to the Chili Peppers. And I was coming up, he was like, making me a playlist. I made him a playlist of what I would consider like their quintessential tracks. Like, these are the best that I can give you. And it was like 80 songs.
Yeah.
And somebody commented, he was like, the Chili Peppers don't even have 80 songs. I'm like, that's where you just don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, actually, they have like 600. These are the really good ones.
Yeah.
They have 80 really good ones.
I'd love to know that. I'd love to know that track list, actually.
I can send it to you. It's
I
public.
would love that.
Yeah, I've got it on YouTube and Google Play.
This is why I love
chat.
that you podcast. This is why the world is a better place because Donnie podcasts, because you uncover these things. And in back in the day, this used to just be like a
Copy.
blank, like a CD-ROM that somebody would put. Like,
post it in the chat. This is Donnie's quintessential Chili Pepper playlist.
Oh, okay.
Everybody,
Oh, snap. It's a YouTube playlist. This is perfect.
Go grab it and download it. There are 81 videos. It's not every song. I'm sure somebody has a song that's not on there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just talk 5. Snow, Heyo, Aeroplane, Scar
They're
Tissue.
not in order.
Well, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. That's the point. The first songs that show up, it's like, holy crap, these are great. Wet Sand is number 7 in the list. Like, again, not the Zephyr song. Oh my gosh, the Zephyr song. I forgot about this.
My friend's, my best friend, his favorite song is Zephyr song. My other best friend, his favorite song is Aeroplane. Mine has always been Wet Sand since the day I heard it. But I like.
Oh my gosh.
My Chili Pepper vibe is actually they're more like melodic, chill stuff. I love the all around the world and stuff too. Like I'm here to rock out, but like they're really chill. It's that Flea and Frashani are special and they play off of each other. My wife used to always tell me, because she's a music major, she explains to these. My wife thinks that I have a good ear. That's what she always tells me. She says, you have a really good ear for music. Yeah. But I don't know what I'm trying to say or explaining, like why I like it. So she informs me as to what it is that I think is so awesome. But the thing that she used to always tell me about Flea and John is that John accompanies Flea, and it's very different than most guitarists. Most guitarists play and the bass and the drums play rhythm to back up the song. It's like in reverse with the Chili Peppers, that so many of the Chili Peppers songs, Flea is out in front. You hear the bass almost at the start of every song. You hear it. It's funky. It stands out. And John, when he's not soloing, of course, John accompanies the bass. He plays off of it. He plays little ditties, little melodic riffs. It's not even really like, most of the time, not even like bar chord, type of rock type of progression. Yes. It's just these little notes and harmonics and accompanies. And it's just neat. It's a unique sound. And when I hear them do like their slower stuff, another really one of my favorite Chili Pepper, like top 5 Chili Pepper songs, if you've never heard it, is Encore. And it was actually off of their second to last album, which wasn't very good, but I love that song. That song's one of my top 5 favorites. And it's very...
What was it called?
Encore.
Encore?
Yeah. It's not similar to Wet Sand, but you'll understand when you hear it. You'll be like, yeah, this is Donnie's like Chili Pepper vibe.
I was just bringing up the Zephyr song, and man, like you're so right. And what a personality to let like the bass go first and just kind of like, I'm just gonna be over here. I'm just gonna kind of do this own thing. Like, and he's so like, it actually, I could see him just sitting off in a corner testing out some stuff.
It's as if like when you listen to Zeppelin, right? You rarely hear John Paul Jones, unless you do. Like Ramble On is such a bass heavy song, and it's like that just through like to the max.
Oh man, that song is amplified. Great.
I really love Encore. And I really love like just their slow chill stuff is usually what I'm here for. Like that's the stuff that really hooks into me. I love Encore. I love Soul to Squeeze. I love Wet Sand is my favorite.
I love that you can name these just off the top. Like I'm with you. As soon as
you've met a person better, more equipped for like.
I love that because I feel like I'm
band.
I'm
with
a pretty
this
good
band. This is my band to do it with.
I feel like I know this band pretty well, but I can't just like. It's not like you just repeated the first 5 songs we talked about. Like you really went 80 songs deep. I have no I have no doubt that you would be able to do that. This is amazing.
It was funny how many of his friends were making fun of me.
Why?
They just thought 80 was like way too many to introduce somebody.
It is a lot.
They have like 20 albums.
I know. They just been going, man.
I've been trying to explain that to people. It's like they've been touring since 1985. Name me another band. Name me and what my wife used to, again, being the music major, she really loves Chili Peppers. She loves her select songs. She likes the funky stuff, like really funky stuff, like Charlie, Bicycle Song, like anything that just gets real, like groovy, funky. But what she really loves, appreciates about them is that they tour so hard, apparently. These are things that I would never notice, but she's like, they're one of the hardest working bands in the world. When they're on tour, like they're on right now, dude, they hit concerts like every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like every other day, concert, and they'll do it for 6 months.
It's in their DNA. Like they really, when they were first starting out, and they would try to make a name for themselves. Like they wanted to be the most energetic, the craziest band you saw. Like they, even when they were nobodies, they just wanted to be. That's a way to start. That to be able to do over and over again, that decades at a time. You're gonna keep it going with that. Chili Peppers is like with John especially, and I play a little bit of guitar, and I hear that and I'm like, I can't play that. Like I hear it and I just don't understand exactly what he's doing. And this, one of the things that jumped out to me with Wet Sand was it seems simple enough, and then I pick up my guitar, I'm like, oh, he's got these little things, like little stuff,
little ditties
here and there.
I don't know what to call them. Like again,
little fills. Yeah,
it's got to be hard as hell to like learn him via tab.
Yeah,
because none of it makes like sense. It's just kind of ear. He's just filling air, filling space. He's just, part
of the reason it's hard to learn by tab is actually because nobody can tab him very well. Like it's not only is it hard to like look at the tab and see like, okay, I see what you're getting at here, but like there's like 40 versions of every song because nobody can quite figure out.
He's not that he doesn't create like a 10-second riff loop. That's just not their thing. That's not what they do.
Yeah, the solo in Wet Sand that I was trying to wrap my head around.
I love that it ends that way. I'm like, what a
my gosh,
song.
Yes.
How cool is this? I've always thought it was super unique, and I don't know if it is. Like maybe I just haven't heard other songs, but I've never heard a song that like constantly builds and just ends that way. I don't think
I feel like that's the way songs should be. Well, and I don't think that like it wasn't on the radio. I don't think this was a single.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a hit.
And that's probably why. Like,
it got buried. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It was not that even wasn't good. If that song was on their latest album, it would have been a hit. But the thing that I love about Stadium Arcadium is that there are 16 songs as good as that song.
That is crazy.
The album is just so good, top to bottom.
Go back to your list. Zephyr Song is such a good pick, man.
Oh, that's definitely on there. It's got to be on there.
Yeah, I don't think Hump to Bump is just super
My
funky.
wife loves that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And she loves Walkabout. She loves Walkabout. Just any of that really, really funky stuff. That's her jam.
I definitely don't know. They got 80 songs. Like I don't know a lot of these songs. Wow, look at this. Yes.
And I tried to, what I did, because I took it very serious. Somebody's asking my opinion about like a favorite band of mine. I take it very seriously. I'm like, oh man, I got to make sure I deliver. So what I did is I tried to grab what I would think are like the quintessential, not just hits, but what I would call like the quintessential jams of like every record. So I tried to get something from every record to make sure that like every era of the Chili Peppers is here.
That would lead you to 80 songs to that approach.
And the problem was Arcadium. It's really hard for me to like not pick 10 of them.
What a list. Oh my God. Anyway, I just wanted to, that's where I'm at right now. I'm supposed to be getting like so much done this week as far as like playing Xenoblade and getting all this renovation stuff done. And, dude, like I haven't had my guitar out in forever. Man, I actually recently it's like a knockoff. It looks like a Les Paul, but it's an Epiphone. My dad got me this one.
Yeah,
like,
that's a great guitar, man.
Yeah.
I used to
really
play.
Like it.
I used to play.
Handcrafted in Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Better than Mexico.
Not a bad guitar actually, but the strings are old as hell on this. I haven't even thought about it, but it's funny because I was playing just before Ryan and I recorded earlier. I love this shape. I love the Les Paul kind of shape, like just the classic. And it's not as heavy as an actual Les Paul would be. This is about a fraction of the cost of it.
My wife always told me they were overrated. I always wanted a Les Paul when I was playing. Was what I always wanted. She was like, they're really overrated.
You think? Well, probably. I mean, they're very expensive.
I would take her word for it. You know, she knows that type of stuff. I don't.
It's a classic. Are you Gibson or are you Fender kind of thing? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure John is playing a variety of Fenders.
She really liked that Telecaster sound.
Yeah,
kind of her thing. That's what she was always after, and she always liked, Martins, things like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, ever since podcasting and video games, I really like stepped away from music, and it's one of those.
Golf, yeah.
Well, and I think you and I are similar in this way. Maybe podcasting is like the thing that we've actually stuck with the longest, where we just want to keep trying stuff. Like our hobbies continue to just like, okay, well, pretty good at this. I'll go do this. Like I never reached like amazing soccer status. I never reached amazing guitar status. I don't know that I'll ever reach amazing podcast status. It's like, it's good enough, but it's, I don't know. Once tabs hit the internet, like anybody can play guitar.
And that's how I learned. I was self-taught. And I think that's my wife used to always tell me that's why she thinks I always had like good ear for music.
Yeah.
I have a very like I don't know, it's not like an opinion. I don't know. I just, when I hear stuff, I have like a belief of what good things should sound like.
Yes.
Across all different kinds of music. Like you know, that type of thing. But I have a really hard time like breaking it down into like musical elements. Like she tried to teach me how to read music and I was completely lost.
But that's not really where you start. And I feel like honestly, that's like the problem with education just in general.
I could never tune my own guitar. Or I mean, that's not true. That's not true. I could tune my guitar, but I could never like tune it like you're taught to tune, like press the strings and make them all sound, you know, like a regular person tunes.
Sure.
I actually tuned my guitar to a Pink Floyd song.
That's awesome.
I knew how Wish You Were Here. I knew how that song was supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And I knew how to play it. So I would just keep playing it until it sounded right. And then that was the tune that I always play my guitar in.
I love that. Well, that's sometimes like
it's kind of stupid when you're like around music people. They're like, "What an idiot!"
Wow. Look at them and all they're like. But that's the thing. Like you look at somebody like John Frusciante, you look at somebody like Tom Morello as an example, and like they were off doing their own thing, making their own sound, figuring out their own way to like be with their instrument or whatever. And like now they're the genius.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That's the thing about really anything, podcasting, whatever creative endeavor.
That rule is like the 10,000 hour rule or whatever. Like you just
totally
to master something, you've got to just put in that amount of time.
Yeah, probably like 9,000 hours or something.
I was never like good at guitar, but I mean, I got to a point where I could like play reasonably well in front of people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was better than my wife, which is what she was said. Like, because back then, in high school, her parents wanted her, you know, to maybe like make it in music. Like she had a couple CDs that she had done, and she'd done a bunch of shows. She won talent shows and stuff like that. And so she took guitar lessons for like 6 years, and she's like, "You're better than me."
There you go.
I never took a lesson, but
it's definitely like there's something in the brain. It's hard if it's not there. It's hard to make up for it. Like if you're born with just that intuition, then that definitely. I mean, I guess it's like anything else. But
I bought my daughter one. She wanted to play, and then she dropped it and started playing clarinet. So
yeah, I know my dad really encouraged me to play. He was really happy that I started to pick it up, and would often tell me he's really happy when he hears me playing, even if I was just learning. Cool. And there's nothing much more painful than hearing somebody else in a house learning an instrument.
Sure,
like that's tough. Like you actually have to have a pretty deep love of music itself to put up with that. And my dad did. My dad he plays trumpet. He plays a bunch of stuff, and it's kind of.
I say for those band instruments, it's hard too because you can't hide.
Yeah,
like
what are you supposed to play trumpet quieter?
You put headphones on, but like, you know, windpipes and drums and stuff like that. There's nothing you can do about that.
My parents were generally okay with noise, and that was one thing about our house that it was different than everybody else's. That I came to realize afterwards, like, oh, this isn't normal. Like we were just okay with blasting music or like whatever instrument anybody was playing in the house. It was something. Are you going to put up with it with your kid? Like I feel like I owe it to them. Actually,
I am now. My daughter just went out for band, so she's in the marching band at high school, and it's just been every day all summer long. She's been doing band camp, and you know, school starts tomorrow, so she'll be doing that. And we'll be going to football games and stuff. So
yeah,
I already am, man. She's doing clarinet, I think, clarinet or flute.
Clarinet's tough to hear. Learning clarinet, I think that's what Garrett Bland plays in the chat here. Clarinet is any instrument, honestly. Drums never sound as good as you think they're going to sound.
Not,
you know, like you think they're going to sound cool. Or even honestly, and even if you sound good, like you got to have great drums. You got to have a good kind of setup. You can have bad sounding, you know, snares or hi-hats or whatever, like that can just sound off. When you hear, because most people think drums, they think of like on an album, which is professionally recorded and produced and everything like that. And I don't know, in real life, drums can sound pretty
especially based on the room.
Totally. Yeah.
If the room isn't set for you know, drums, it can get real bad real quick.
If you just take that bass drum and just play it, like You need a blanket in that thing. You need a pillow or something. You need to
for sure.
You need to set that whole thing up. And the same thing is actually with guitar. And this is where just my mindset is at with things. Like acoustic is going to sound like an acoustic guitar. That's just the way that it is. And that might be but it's harder to play, I would say. But when I pick up my electric, I'm excited because it's a lot easier to play and I can play it loud and that all sounds really great. But tone of the guitar is really hard to nail down. Like what amp do you have? What pedals do you have? How do you turn all the knobs? And that's my
favorite guitarist is David Gilmour, and it's because of
his tone.
His guitar sounds like his tone. It's so he's so clean.
Yeah.
But the way it's almost like he makes the guitar sing in those Pink Floyd songs, man. You know, like he just wails and it adds so much to the song. I'm just like, if I could play, I would want to play like that. Like I think he's the best at it. Like, I don't think he's the best, technical guitarist. You know, I'm not saying that, but the way what he brings to song, is my favorite.
Why not add an additional level of difficulty to something that already isn't easy to do? And it's like, oh, by the way, go familiarize yourself with like pedals and pickups and all this other stuff. Like, and this is the thing, like they'll sell pedals that just like make you sound like Kirk Hammett from Metallica. Sure. There's like, this is his sound, you know? But he doesn't do that. He doesn't have his own pedal that goes like, and now here's my Kirk Hammett sound.
And like you couldn't even do that because they swap out guitars on every song and they swap out tunings for every song. And you know, they've got they'll use certain guitars for a specific song because they liked it and they think it sounds better for that one. You know, and it gets crazy deep.
These are the things when I was holding off, and I want to talk to you about my PC upgrades. I was holding off my PC upgrades because I've been thinking about getting myself like the guitar, like picking whatever the you got your car, and not that a guitar has any even close to the investment.
I bought a new car today.
You bought a new car. We have so much to talk about.
It's a used car, but yeah, it's not even exciting. It's just funny that you said that. You're like, you got a car. I was like, I actually got another one.
There's another one. I had to buy a garage too. It came with a free garage, actually, with a place to put them in. I've been thinking about like a guitar to like, okay, this is going to be like guitar. I'm an adult now.
A splurge investment. I love it. I'm here.
I didn't do it, but
you should though.
It's on the list, man. It's on the list. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do, because I also just picked up, these were for my birthday. I have such a weird like birthday wish list, like these foam things that you put on your wall to like eat the sound or whatever. So I've got all these, but I also need to leave myself just a little bit of space because the guitars are going back on the wall. I haven't had my guitars on the wall since I was living at my parents' house. I still have the hangers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what's gotten into me just lately, and I'm kind of just diving into it here, just kind of geeking out about it.
It's an excellent decorative element.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, they should be on the wall just for decoration. They're cool.
Yeah,
it looks cool to have guitars on the wall.
This one is in still really good shape because it has basically lived in its Dracula vampire. Yeah,
my first guitar was an Ibanez, and then then I got a Stratocaster, and I traded it for a Les Paul styled Epiphone that I actually carried with me when I went to go see Sean Mullins play, who was another big favorite of mine. I've always loved Sean Mullins. And I went to see him, and I showed up outside the tour venue like 4 hours before the concert was supposed to go. And he was hanging out in his RV behind with his dog. And they were like, I was just at the door, and the people came to the door, and they're like, dude, show must have started like 8. We were there like 4.
Yeah.
And they were like, dude, show doesn't start for another. I was like, no, I know. I was like, I was hoping I could get Sean to autograph my guitar. And I guess whoever answered the door was like his roadie.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, that's fucking cool. He's like, come here. And he took me out back, and I got to meet him, and he signed my
That's
guitar.
awesome.
And as I've mentioned quite often on Sweet Hangs, I have my best friend. He's in a band. Like that's what he does. He's in like a little gig band. And I ended up giving it to him for being my best man at my wedding.
No way.
Yeah. So he's still got it on his wall at home. He's got my Sean Mullins autographed guitar.
That is so cool. Lincoln is about to start piano lessons. I think we're going to get him into this. He's starting to kind of show signs.
That's the instrument that I wish I knew how to play.
Same. I feel like that's the one you kind of like. You can then learn anything if you know how to play piano. Like it was always when we were in band in school. It was the kids who played piano who would then go to play drums. Like which I thought was weird. I always thought that was really strange. But it's like. Those kids have such an understanding of music theory and like
there's no faking it on piano. You just gotta know it and get good at it.
Yeah. The rest of us are playing, like clarinet and flute and everything. Single note. I don't know exactly what they're called, but like you're playing one note at a time.
Yeah.
Piano, you're playing chords. Guitar, you're playing chords. There's all these other kind of things. You can play multi-tone kind of stuff. But at least we were reading music, I guess. But would you? I mean, I don't think I realized that you were into guitar as much as you seemingly are. I don't think I knew. I think this is news to me.
It was a phase when I was a teenager, but I mean, and I wasn't like it wasn't good, but I could. I played in a talent show once. I was in a talent show band.
Same. I feel like we're similar on this, like similar kind of level, like good enough.
I was in a terrible talent show.
What did you play?
My friends put together. I played rhythm on guitar and I sang. I was the front man.
What songs? I'm gonna.
We sang Smashing Pumpkins against my will. It wasn't what I chose, but it's what the band chose. So we played Smashing Pumpkins for the school talent show that we did not win. But I was up there playing. So I mean, like I had gotten to a point where I was good enough with guitar that I could play in front of people, which I think if you say that to somebody that plays guitar, like I think they know what that means.
Totally. It definitely means something.
Yeah, I wasn't like a soloist. I wasn't, Eddie Van
Halen up there ripping.
Yeah, but I could play chords and not look at the guitar and sing at the same time. And
I heard something crazy about Van Halen a couple weeks ago that he would play and make up a bunch of solos just at a time, and he would kind of record it. But then he would take bits of those solos, smash them together, and then go back into the studio to learn how to play that mashup of stuff. Totally sounds legit. And it's like, well, that's crazy. That's something probably a crazy guy like that would do. And then I listened back to some of these songs.
Crazy at all. The reason I say that is in all of the time that I have been listening to musicians, and particularly rock musicians and guitarists, talk about how they came up with songs. Like the biggest smash hit songs have always been some stupid shit that they were just like fooling around with in practice. Yeah. Like Sweet Child of
accidental.
Mine. It's just like he's like, I used to just play that to warm up my fingers, and then one day Duff was like, dude, keep doing that. That sounds good. And then that became Sweet Child of Mine. It's like this stupid thing that Slash used to do. And it's so dumb how often that is the you hear that story from band to band to band so often. I 100% could imagine somebody just, man, they got something in their head, they just recorded. It's probably smart of him to keep recording so he could go back to. I can only imagine how much stuff has come and gone through people's heads that they just never went back to.
Wouldn't even be able to like it's not like you're video recording. I don't think so anyways. Like it's just an audio recording. So you'd have to like go hear it. Yeah. Once again, that's crazy, man. But he'd have to learn like what to do with his hands. Like he would take like bits of a solo that didn't have anything to do with each other and go like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to like jump on over here and exactly. I love it, man. But it's loud. He obviously just totally.
Not everybody can do that.
Speaking of pedals you can buy that make you sound like a guy like Van Halen. Holy crap, man!
Incredibly, technically a master. Incredible.
And the thing, speaking of like high school bands and stuff, like I don't know about you, but I've been around and heard in person some people, in my peer group who are genuinely excellent at guitar or whatever, like drummers, like genuinely talented.
My best friend can really play.
Not fair that they're not famous, right? Like I don't know, but I feel like there's like 2-3 people in my life. I'm like, why?
I will send you. They release an album that they put out on iTunes and everything. I'll send you their like what I call their hit song, and you can hear them. They're actually legit. You're like, man, it's really hard to make it music, and like more so today than ever before. But like it's always been, like you might as well play the lottery. Like it's incredibly hard to hit.
I know it's such a shit because it's so challenging, and that's why I kind of get upset when I'm like I hear somebody who's like not really tuned in. They haven't put in the discipline, they haven't put in the practice. They're just like kind of got a little bit lucky. It's like it kind of sucks.
I went and saw a band that I really liked, and I remember the name of them. I loved them. Oh man, I was just listening to their record on repeat. I thought they were so good. I went and saw them live, and they sucked. Yeah, they were terrible. I left I didn't even think I made it halfway through. I was like, let's go. It is very, very depressing when you see something like that.
Not fair. It's not fair to those people, man. It sucks.
But it's the marketing machine and all that. This has been a thing that's been going on in music since the 80s.
Yeah. Well, every once in a while, a talented, not good-looking person makes it though. You got your Ed Sheerans out there. He's fine.
So you're gonna buy a guitar? We got off topic.
And this is, but now this is a big decision. So obviously I can't even make a decision about like what game I'm going to play next.
Get out the pen.
spreadsheets, yeah, measurements,
Pros and cons list.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something. I am my father's son, big time, because I remember I think it was a computer. He instilled like the spreadsheet, like pros and cons, features and benefits, like make sure you look at all that stuff.
Everybody does it. It just it's
Mhm.
to how much they do it. Like you're very evident with how you do it. Like your
Yeah.
creation, you create stuff out of it. I think a lot of people
So
just do it in their
stupid.
heads. But every time, dude,
That's true.
anytime I buy anything that's like over $20, I'm doing
Yeah.
mad comparative shopping. Like I
Mhm.
shop hard to save $1.
Yeah, well, that makes me feel better.
Mhm.
So I remember my dad bought me a guitar because he was set out like for your birthday, whatever year this was. He's like, I'm gonna buy you a guitar, but like a pretty hard limit on the cost. You can't just go buy, anything. And I remember like even just like he walked me through a process that I wouldn't have thought of. Like just decide the shape of the guitar that you like. I'm like, I guess that's how you would start. But I remember that very distinctly. Now I don't know that I would really go there. I don't know that I would like look specifically at the shape. I'm more what I'm getting around to. Is it Gibson or is it Fender? My acoustic that I have is an Ibanez. A couple guys that I listen to play ESP. Like that's kind of where I would start. And especially if I'm buying my own guitar, like if it's going to be Gibson or Fender, like then that's going to be expensive. You can still get really great guitars that aren't those two.
Of course.
But for whatever reason, my simple mind goes to those two.
But as somebody who bought the Ventura and the Challenger, the question isn't how you can save money and accomplish the same task. The question is, what do you want?
Yeah.
Because the thing that has taken me a really hard time to learn in life is that you can save money and buy equivalents forever.
Yeah.
But you'll always come back to the thing if it's not what you wanted to buy. So if you really want to own a Les Paul just to have it,
I think that's the one.
If buying an Ibanez or something that sounds equivalent or even better at a cheaper price isn't going to scratch that itch.
Yeah.
That itch is going to come back around.
You got to have that's the one. That's the one, you know, like that you just,
you got to buy it.
It's
like I always want an old classic car and I bought a Challenger and it was like, but I still want the old classic car. Like I always wanted one of those, like it'll come back. You'll reprieve that thought for a little bit.
I'll end up
but it'll come back around. So you might as well just save yourself the time and the money and get the thing that you want first.
Well, the funny thing is the Gibson thing is so deeply rooted in me. There's so many, it's such a classic guitar. There's so many greats who have played it. And that's kind of like that was like almost like the first love. And ever since that was established, and it's kind of like stupid, like console wars. Like if you're a Gibson, you don't play, like it's so
I don't think it's stupid though. There's a gigantic difference in sound from like the Fender sound to the Gibson sound is
definitely
that's a real thing.
And that's kind of where I'm getting around to is like my first love is Gibson. But once that was established, I went and found like, like even John Mayer like is amazing on this guitar. And John Frusciante is like these are all Fender players. So I'm like, oh man, like so maybe where I end up with.
Do you want that Strat sound, like that whiny solo sound, or you want that?
I never thought I did.
Kind of Eric Clapton type sound.
Yeah. I can't decide. Like, how do you decide? Actually,
you need all
probably a Strat, but the Telecaster is very Telecaster. In my mind,
I'm a Strat over Telecaster guy. I'm a Strat
guy. Telecaster is kind of like to me, it's almost in the middle. Yeah. And I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, and it's funny because I actually really like blues music. A lot. And that's definitely like Telecaster cities going down there. But that's not the type of music I would ever think to play. So I played rock music almost exclusively. So I would always go Strat that way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. Like even like I have a wah pedal. It's a Jimmy. I think it's a Jimmy.
So the beauty of this, Sean, is that you can get a Stratocaster for relatively inexpensive, so you can have both.
Oh, really?
Get the Strat and then get the Gibson. Yeah, you can get a great Stratocaster for not like Gibson amounts of money.
Okay, I feel like Gibson's about to go out of business too.
A real, not like a brand new off the shelf one, like a real classic Gibson, like the Gibson that I think. Like when you say that was the first love, like I can only imagine what you were thinking because it's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So if you want a real 70s era Gibson, it's going to cost you a few grand.
Yeah, I know.
But you can get a Stratocaster for like $1,000. You can pick up a Stratocaster anywhere.
Is it? There's only a couple stores here that you can buy a Gibson, like an actual Les Paul from. It's very limited, actually. I don't know if it's the same for because I haven't actually really shopped for a Stratocaster.
I haven't shopped for guitars in forever, but let me just take a look here.
Google knows I'm talking about music because the store here in Canada is called Long and McQuaid.
Facebook Marketplace, I can pick up a really nice Les Paul for about $3,000.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's kind of where that's a lot of money.
Oh, it's not an insignificant amount of money, but for what it is, that's not too bad. That's about what I would expect it to go for.
What color? What color?
This one's sunburst black with like a gold. I'm also seeing like a yellow one, which is pretty cool. And then this other one, a cheaper one for $2,000, is just like that 70s style, like that brown with the fade and the cream. That's just kind of like the standard.
And as soon as I get into this, like Epiphone, obviously, like they look the same. Like I feel like I could actually get, and I think this would scratch the same itch, if you will, like a good Epiphone Les Paul. I think would still be okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to say Gibson on it. I also wonder. I haven't held.
Well, if you got yourself I think they're very heavy. Really nice Stratocaster to go with the scratching the Epiphone, I agree with you. But if you really want the Les Paul, then I'm going to tell you to go the opposite way. Get the thing you really want, because here's the thing: guitars hold value, so get it.
That's so true.
And if you don't like it, get rid of it and count your losses. You know, like maybe you lose $800 on the swap, but maybe you don't. Maybe you find the guitar that you love and you never want to get rid of.
I've been burned worse on my graphics cards this year.
Of course, yeah. You know,
yeah. I love it though. Like it. And I'm not ready to be done with it. I thought I might be done with my guitar days, but every once in a while, like a song pops up and it's like that's still in there.
I'm so incredibly happy and grateful that Wet Sand could do that. Like it warms my heart because they actually played it. And I swear, I've always told this story like this. I swear they played it for me. I've seen the Chili Peppers 8 times.
Yeah.
And one of the last times I saw them a few years ago, I tweeted them every day for 60 days before the show to please play Wet Sand, because I'd never heard them play it before.
Oh man.
And they totally played it, and it wasn't on their set list at all during the tour. Like I looked, I even have tweets copying it. Like like they never played the song on the tour, and it was like their 3rd album after.
This is ages ago. Yeah, they're touring the new album.
I think somebody saw me tweeting, because I can't imagine that they just woke up that day and they were like, let's play Wet Sand.
Yeah. I love that that's also a thing. Like if you're really into a band, you can see like the track list that they play, or the set list they play every night.
Actually, you just jogged my memory, because what I was about to tell you a bit ago when we were talking about them is I just told my wife this. I watched them play in Brazil last week. I watched their show.
Oh, nice.
Recording, and to be quite honest with you, I don't think I've ever heard Anthony sound better.
Oh,
he sounded amazing. Why haven't I
thought of this? I was obsessed.
Incredible last week, and I was
concert DVDs, man.
I hope he sounds like that, because when the first time I saw him, he sounded terrible. He sounded a lot like the Anthony Kiedis that you saw at like Woodstock, which is real bad. But I've also seen him sound better. But last week, the show that he had in Brazil, oh man, it was special. Like he sounded better than I've ever heard him. And it was
Brazil
totally live mic. It sounded great.
Everything keeps popping up. Lollapalooza. I don't want that.
Yeah, it wasn't Lollapalooza. I can try to find it.
I recently got PC speakers.
I may just be saying that.
Part of this whole experience, I have to have speakers on my computer. I have to be at my monitor with the tabs here and be able to blast the music out here with speakers. And for basically ever since I've been here in this space, like podcasting, how everybody knows me, I've been listening to whatever's on the PC in my headphones, because that's just, from the podcasting or whatever.
Of course.
And I haven't had PC speakers, but I was fixing up my mother-in-law's computer over there. I swapped it out, and I spent a week in kind of getting her set up, and she felt very grateful that I was helping her. And she was dropping some questions. She's like, what do people do if they don't have like a son-in-law who does this sort of thing? I'm like, I guess you go to Best Buy, you do Geek Squad stuff. And so she took that as, well, I'll just spend money and treat me with something. So I wasn't expecting this. She bought me amazing computer speakers. There's like these Logitech THX. They got a subwoofer. So I'm back in my element. The reason I'm telling you all this is like, now I have my iTunes or YouTube with the tabs here, and I can blast music, and I've got my guitar here. Like I'm taking back 15 years suddenly. Probably, maybe even more than that. Like this is my guitar playing setup. This is my music appreciation.
Getting that giant dash of nostalgia.
Oh, dude, like then that's apparently what it's all about as we age.
I can't find the video.
Red Hot Chili Peppers in Brazil. Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to remember if it was Brazil or if maybe I have it confused with something else. I'd have to look at their tour, I guess.
Well, this is the thing. Like bands, like I don't know. I've seen Metallica do a ton of this. They have so many live performances, like and good quality. It's not like somebody's cell phone in the audience or anything. It's like a professionally recorded thing, and like a lot of those are on YouTube now. Was it in Dublin? I see one here 4 weeks ago.
Maybe.
Live in Marley Park, Dublin 2022.
I think they were playing Wet Sand because I think that's what I was looking at.
Denver last week, July 23rd.
Hang on.
So you can like, man, let's see. What set list here, Californication was Soul, by the way. I don't see it in Denver.
I think because what's coming to mind is I think it was while you were playing Wet Sand. I went and looked at YouTube and like they had just played it. And I was like, no way, they're playing it. And I had heard something and it sounded really good.
London, June 26th, it looks like.
Might be it.
This looks like somebody's like, yeah, this is like somebody's phone in the front row or something,
just
or
like
security guard.
I could see it.
Is it like a professional like recording? Like,
no, it's from somebody's phone.
Yeah.
And I can see the angle.
The first comment on this video is actually got tears in the eyes when John started the solo. Anthony sounds so much better than he did in 2006 performance of the song.
That might be it. That might be it then.
Yeah. London.
It's definitely,
yeah.
It doesn't matter which video it was. I mean, I'm sure if
Yeah.
you grab any of them, it's just he sounds really good on this recent tour.
It's funny.
And I've heard him sound good and bad and
Yep.
awful, and he sounds really good on this tour.
I mean, that's just the way your voice goes.
When
Sometimes
you tour
people
like
will
they
hear.
do.
Seriously, it could be anything. It could be like, how did you sleep? What did you drink? Like, what did you like? Your voice, like the fact that any of these guys are able to tour and sing and push it night after night or every other night, like that's
incredible.
That's another level, man.
So my
and
wife,
people expect them to sound perfect.
She really liked them and Bon Jovi because they really they tour. They really push hard. Look at here. So I can't see the recent
what
dates.
guitar did what's his face?
So they're touring. They've got dates 17th, 19th, 21st, 30th, 1st, 3rd, 8th, 9th, 10th, 15th, 18th, 22nd, 25th, 28th, and the 2nd of October.
What?
That's like every other day from
Seriously.
like August 25th to October 5th. They have concerts.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And that spans from, let's see, all right, so this one starts in Nashville. It goes to Chicago, to Canada, Florida, to Charlotte, to Boston, to Orlando, to Texas, to Kentucky.
Are they coming? They're not coming to Canada at all, I don't think.
Yeah, no, one of these are. August 21st.
Probably just Toronto.
They'll be at the Rogers Center in Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah.
That's always the way it goes. That was, for the longest time, we never got concerts here at all. It was like Toronto, Vancouver, that's it.
My
Eventually
concert is the 10th. I'll be singing Chili Peppers the 10th with my family. First time my kids are going.
That's awesome.
Their first Chili Pepper concert.
Yeah. Well, kids are actually maybe coming around on this whole music thing, man. Metallica saved everything with Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things did it. Saved everybody.
That, but yeah.
Yeah. Thrash metal, make a return. Save the whole planet. That's what we need, man. That's my solution to everything. I'm not even going to get political about anything. It's just like we don't have good music anymore. People don't have anything to be mad about. Like they have things to be mad about, but they have no like outlet. They're just like they have no like emotionally charged music at all. Yes.
Cardi B.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can be sad about a breakup. Like we still have that. That's fine. But like nobody's making like System of a Down or Rage Against the Machine or anything, or even like pushing the boundaries like Eminem or Marilyn Manson or anything like that. This is my old man shouting at a cloud. Like who's?
I think Nicki Minaj and
I guess
pushing the boundaries.
I guess, yeah.
They're not edgy, but they're definitely pushing the boundaries.
They're upsetting parents around the world. You shouldn't be listening to that. Yeah, that's probably true. They just do a little differently now. But anyway, what car did you buy? What did you get?
I bought a 2003 Mercury Sable.
Okay, why?
the LS model, the nice package,
Yeah.
the leather
Nice
seats and all that.
package. Yeah.
Nice package. Well, I've been looking for a cheap vehicle for a bit now.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 months.
I'm thinking the same thing, actually.
And the reasons are twofold. My son, he continues to shoot upward in terms of height and stuff. He's having a growth spurt.
Oh, that shoot up.
The last few times we've tried to get him in the backseat, the Challenger has proven, uncomfortable. I was
Okay.
like, we should probably get us something more comfortable that the family can ride in.
Mhm.
And then 2, my daughter is start driving soon. She's going to have to learn on something, and she's also going to have to drive something. And neither one of them do I want them to be anything that I actually care about.
Yeah.
So cars have been through the roof during COVID, and if you're out there wondering when it's going to stop, like it's starting to stop. Like cars are starting to come down. And I've been hunting and talking, and I've sifted through thousands of. Like, you want to talk about Donnie's pet peeve for the month? The other day, I wanted to throw my computer because somebody was like, cold AC, brand new tires, and literally this was the sentence: car runs really nicely, just really nice. Followed immediately by transmission is blown.
Yeah.
Definitely needs a new trans. I was like, then your car doesn't run. You can't say the car runs nice if it doesn't have a trans. Like it doesn't run.
Mhm.
I've sifted through so much crap like that, but I have found a few really good buys around Atlanta, like just cheap, not like really good buys in terms of like super savings, just like really good, car. I bought this car today for $2,000.
Oh, wow.
115,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And the engine and the transmission feel extremely tight. The car is extremely clean. It's got
Mhm.
a few dings and stuff on it, but I mean, it looks great. And it is the nice, like, the wood trim, leather seats, got, rear, like, the rear view mirrors, like defrost, get heated mirrors, and like kind of like that old school, like uppity package, like it's all there. So
the uppity package,
so my wife, she sat in, she was like, it's super comfortable. She hated the idea of me even buying this. She's like, why are you gonna buy another car? Because I've been wanting a truck for a long time, but trucks are still just through the roof.
And
it's
gas,
hard to buy a truck with wheels on it right now for less than like $8,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, I decided I'd just go and pick this up and have it. And if something happens to my car, or more than likely if something happened to my wife's car,
what does she drive
for a few days? She's got a Prius.
Okay. Oh yeah.
If something happens to it, we have another car that she can, very comfortably drive. And when my daughter starts driving, we have a car that she can comfortably drive, and I don't really have to worry about it. It's a safe car, airbags, decent gas mileage.
What does she think of it?
Who?
Your daughter, what does she think of the car?
She was like, what is that?
Yeah.
She was like, why? She was like, I think she said, what shape is that? Is what she said.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would like to have some sort
round. That's the shape of it
thing or whatever, but I don't care. I mean, like, if it's not even her car, as I've been very clear, like I didn't buy you a car. I bought me a car that you can possibly drive.
That you are comfortable with her driving and probably getting a ding or two in it.
You're never going to drive my Challenger ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't let you reposition it in the driveway, let alone actually drive it.
Yeah, that's a huge consideration, man. Like you have to be okay with whatever car you're going to provide, whether you give a car to them or let them borrow yours. Like you have to be okay with it. And I'm transported back again, probably 25 years. When everybody just started like showing up to school in a car, and there's 1 or 2 kids, at least in my school, who got like the car. They got like a nice
Mustang.
car. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But most of us ended up getting like the
grandma's car,
1978 Ford Tempo or whatever.
Buick Regal.
Exactly.
Geo Metro.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was that Oldsmobile? Remember those pointy Oldsmobile?
Oh my
town
gosh!
cars?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like you didn't even care. Like there might have been that quick look. Oh, this isn't the coolest car. But then you go to school, and this wasn't me. I never had the car. This was somebody else. One guy shows up with his Ford Tempo, and you don't even realize like what a not the coolest car. It didn't matter. You're the guy with the car.
He had a car. Yeah.
Yeah. And chances are you're the taller one who can grow a mustache that might be able to go to the liquor store and buy booze, man.
My first ride was a 1986 Mazda B2000 pickup truck that I bought for $900.
Yeah, dude.
It leaked a quart of oil a day.
That is crazy.
And I'm not lying. I drove around with a piece of plywood in the back of my bed that I would pick up and put under it under the truck when I was at school.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they were like, you can't just keep leaving oil stains all over a parking lot.
Right.
So I had to like, yeah.
How is that even street legal?
Oh, definitely.
Like, don't you have to do like some sort of inspection or something?
Here's the other thing. It didn't, the starter didn't work. So what I had to do is I had to put the key in.
Yeah.
Push it. No. Turn the key ignition and then flip a switch. We had a wired switch to flip.
Oh
to
my
bypass
gosh.
the starter that would kick the starter to go. Yeah.
I love it.
It was a mess. It was a disaster.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
It was not awesome, but I drove it because you're right. Like your first set of wheels is just freedom. It doesn't really matter to me. It didn't matter. I was envious of the people that had the cooler car. I wanted a cooler car.
Of course.
But you know, I wasn't going to not drive something. Now, you know, funny story off of that. I lived with my aunt and uncle at a time when their son was in high school. I was still in middle school, but he was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle bought him a truck, a Ford F-150, 1985 square body, a truck that I would love to have today.
Yeah.
And he gave it back on his birthday. I will never forget it because he wanted a Ford Edge. They offered to give him a truck. Like, here's your truck. You own it. Here are the keys. Happy birthday. He gave it back to them. He didn't even sell it. He just didn't accept it. He just said, no, it's not what I want. I haven't been saving. He had like 10 grand he saved that he blew all on a truck that he wanted to finance because he wanted the truck that he wanted to have.
I hate this person. I hate that story so much.
We weren't very good friends, my cousin Harvey and me, but that was my cousin.
Holy crap.
He was that guy.
Yeah.
I watched with my own eyes. They gave him the keys and he handed them back.
He's like,
I wouldn't be caught dead in that car.
Sounds like a Dr. Phil episode.
It's something, man.
Like,
I remember I was in 8th grade. I was like, I'll take it.
No kidding.
Give it to me. I'll take it.
Oh my
You can't even drive for a bit. I don't care. I'll watch it every day until I can.
No. Oh man. This is
I'll just sit in it and listen to the music.
My cars were immaculate. My cars were so clean. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a point of pride. It had to smell it. You know, like air fresheners were actually like, you didn't need an air freshener because it wasn't going to ever smell bad. It was just always so clean. It probably smelled more like
the amount of time that I've spent
McGuire's.
Waxing. I waxed that Mazda. That piece of shit. I was out there buffing the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, there's something to that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be $100,000 car. It's like, it's yours. And it's special. Yeah, man.
Take care of it.
Why? How did you end up with a Mercury Sable? Like when you're going through, are you just like how are you shopping?
So the
how
reason that I bought that one is I was actually looking for a Grand Marquis.
Okay.
I just couldn't find the deal that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And this happened to be the LS trim of the Sable, which is basically on par feature-wise with the Grand Marquis. And if you did not know this about cars, I can spread a little knowledge here. The Grand Marquis, like that whole line, that whole chassis, Grand Marquis, Lincoln Town Car, the Crown Vic, the Sable, what's the other one? The Taurus.
Ford Taurus. We had a couple of those in the
Millennium change, that era from like 96 to like 2004. Those are some of the best cars you can buy for the money. The drivetrains last forever. The engines last forever. The chassis are some of the best ever built. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they are owned by, the grandpa cars. They're owned. Well, the Crown Vics are, but a lot of times like the Town Car, the Lincoln Town Car, the Grand Marquis, they're owned by old folks. Yeah. So they have extremely low miles, amazing engines. A lot of them come V8s.
No, that's a good point.
Turbocharged, like amazing engines, super power V8s with all the luxury items that you could hope for. Super comfortable seats, plenty of leg room. They're super big. You know, if you like, gas mileage isn't great, like 20 miles a gallon. It's not awful, but it's not bad. You know, and they're just feature rich. They're packed well. They're really reliable. Not all of them. You know, like if you drive it like shit, it'll behave like shit. But generally speaking, and they sold so many of them. Parts are plentiful. They're easy to fix.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
See, these are the practical like considerations when buying a car. That all totally makes sense. You don't go buy like the most rare car on the planet because parts are going to be expensive. The car itself is going to be expensive.
Exactly.
Like, who knows who's driving it? Like, you have choice here. Okay. This is making sense.
So when I was looking for a cheap car, to me, I'm thinking this is a third vehicle, so I'm not going to drive every day. So the mileage doesn't bother me as much as like the maintenance. Like, was it taken care of? Is it in good condition? And then the second thing it reminded me was, or the thing that was important to me beyond the price, was reliability. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to buy like an old Eclipse or something that somebody just worn out the engine on, and you know, it's going to be a pain to fix. I wanted something stock, off the shelf.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
can go get, you know, transmission goes out. Who cares? I got the car so cheap and put a new one in it.
Yeah.
Let's go to the
Totally.
junkyard, get a new transmission. I'll throw another one in there for $500. Keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am zeroed in on kind of that lineage of car, and then it was just about finding the right deal. This guy wanted $2,800 for it, so I went out to test drive it. It was super clean. It was really nice. I'm actually quite, and I even hate to speak this out because the car is so old. The pedal and the shifter feels so tight in how it was shifting. I was driving. I was like, this is
you don't want to jinx it.
incredible.
Yeah.
It feels this way. But that was really
115,000 miles is really good.
With those type of cars, yeah, you can easily spend $2,000 on one that has 300,000 miles on it. You know,
Totally.
So,
yeah.
So, and I was like, hey, you do $2,000? And he was like,
Yeah.
well, the banks are closed. He's like, you want to come back tomorrow? I was like, no, I mean like right now. Like I'll wire you the money like right now, and we can just call this a day. And he said, yeah. So I bought the car.
Thank God for like email money transfer now.
Sure.
You don't
I
need
just
like
you
don't need certified checks.
I was
or
like, do you have
whatever
PayPal? And he was like, yeah. He was like, can you send me money via PayPal? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just PayPal him the money.
That's perfect. This is you. Everybody needs a PayPal account. In this day and age,
the new
like
thing is
what,
Zelle or Cash App.
Cash App, I've heard of. I haven't heard
Cash
of.
App. I think Zelle is very popular because actually, I get looked at a lot of time as the old person for having PayPal. Or PayPal? What are you, 80?
Oh, for real?
But I had PayPal ever since I've had eBay, and it's never burned me, so I've never wanted to go away from it.
Well, that's what like everything pays out at online, anyways. Like our like Patreon is out to PayPal and everything. So I don't know how like I don't see another. I don't think
I've been buying and selling on eBay since like 2006, man. I have 1,000 ratings. So
you have 1,000 what ratings?
Yeah, on eBay.
Holy shit!
So it's just it was PayPal served me well, so I never wanted to go away.
Yeah, you don't need too many things. Like you don't need too many credit cards. You don't need too many of these things.
And I may be a sucker that way. I'm the same way about my insurance. Like I hate that my insurance has cost me so much, but like State Farm is always taking care of me, so I've never thought to leave.
Yeah.
Whenever I've needed my insurance has absolutely come through.
At a certain point, it starts mattering less and less. Like early on, like it was a huge deal. I used to be able to switch every other year and get discounts, you know, earning that business. And I don't know, maybe there's something to be said about like getting somebody when they're a little bit younger and they will stick with you forever. Like I haven't even thought about changing insurance companies in years, actually.
My grandfather had State Farm. I used to ride with my grandfather to pay the State Farm bill every month. He went and did it in person.
That's the thing. You and I think we're talking about this a lot. Yes, like, these are the things that you did with your time.
Yeah,
you know, like you had to
ride with them every month. We would get breakfast. We would get breakfast biscuits.
Pay for the insurance.
And I knew the insurance lady. Her name was Tammy. And I would walk in and give them the money, and she'd say thank you. So when I turned 16, it was like, I'm going to see Tammy, and I'm going to enroll as insurance. You know.
Yeah, man.
So,
well, I'm home alone now. My family has left me temporarily, I hope.
My family has left me.
One of these
days,
a
hard birthday, Sean.
Yeah. one of these days, my family will leave me, and everybody will be like, "We tried to warn you. Like maybe focus on the home front a little bit more,
a little less Nintendo, a little more family."
Exactly, but too late now. Family's gone, and we only have one vehicle between Chelsea and I. We've talked about this, but it's moments like this where I'm like, I don't really need a second car like on a day-to-day basis, but it's like moments like this, like a second car would be really nice.
I get that a lot. My daughter is like this. She's like, why do we need so many cars? And I'm like, you'll get, when you're older, you'll understand. So my Mazda, for example, clutch went out. I had to replace that. Master slave cylinder brakes went out. Had to replace that until the engine seized.
Like at that point, you're just to the junkyard.
Of course. And then I had a Kia Rio, timing belt broke, entire engine went out. I had to replace the engine and everything. So I think when you've been through that, to me, if I need a car, then I need two cars. And if my wife and I need two cars, I need three cars. Like to me, it's just about peace of mind.
You just buy them at Costco. They just come in a bundle.
Yeah, but I mean, so
family pack of cars.
Last year we had, when I bought the Challenger, like right when I bought the Challenger, we had the Challenger, we had the minivan, and I had my old Camry from college.
Yes. Yes.
I sold the Camry at the height of COVID, made a penny.
Yeah.
My wife never liked the van. She never wanted to be a minivan mom. Like she
Oh,
always
really?
loathed it. I bought the minivan when she wrecked her car.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care what you like or don't like. I got a great deal in this minivan, so we're gonna go get this minivan.
I love it. Yeah.
But the minivan was coming up right about the age, it's about 75,000 miles of Chrysler minivan. They have a lot of issues, like reliability wise. I was like, let's get out from under this now. You don't like it, so let's move it. So I sold it. So we went from having Camry, minivan, Challenger to just Challenger. Obviously, wife needs a car, so I bought her the Prius.
Yeah.
So I used that money to go buy the Prius, and then I used.
Did she like the Prius? She didn't like the minivan.
She loves.
So that was a win for her. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And then I used kind of like the extra money and savings, and I was like, well, I'm going to get this Ventura, because I've always wanted this classic car.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me, you're going to laugh, but there was a part of me when I bought it. I was like, well, if Victoria wants to take the Ventura to school or something, like, sure, it's built like a tank. Like what's the worst that could happen to it? And then I started like fixing it and like restoring it. And now I'm like, you're never going to touch it. Like,
yeah, man.
The amount of money that I've put into this damn thing.
Anything happened to that thing, like, I mean, the car would be with the car. And obviously you'd hope that she wouldn't be too terribly injured. But after all those are considered,
right? Like 3 inches of metal.
Yeah, everything around her, everything else around her would be
it'd be the other fiberglass car that I'd be concerned about.
Exactly. But then you would despise her.
Oh,
you're like, look what you did to my car. Like you wouldn't be able to separate it. When I
first bought it, I bought it kind of as is, and was like, I'm going to keep it like that, and then I'll have my Challenger.
Yeah.
And then as I started tearing it down, I was like, well, it's never going to be like this again.
Yeah.
It's going to be too nice. Eventually, it'll be restored and too nice. So that's when I was like, well, we need another car then. Like if I'm going to keep the Ventura, we really need another car because she's never going to drive that either. So it's just me coming to grips with that kind of.
But when you like, I was thinking about like how you ended up with with a Sable or something. Like when you think about cars, your vision is so wide, and I have a huge appreciation for that. Like you're going minivan, truck, Mercury, like you're all over the place. Like you think about like a car that would fit your needs, and your mind instantly goes to 1,000 different options.
It depends on what's the use case, right? Like what is this car specific for? Like my Challenger,
I love
specific for me.
Sure.
The Prius I bought specifically for my wife. It's got great gas. She doesn't care about power. She likes all the little bells and whistles. She really does.
Yeah.
All the little things that it does and all the cool stuff. It's easy. It's small, but it's roomy. It's oddly roomy for a car of its size. It's incredible how much you can fit in there, how comfortable everybody can be.
Bobby had one. Bobby was a big boy, man. He had a Prius. Yeah,
it's pretty roomy. Like it's amazing how, because when you look at it, you're like, is that a Rio or something? I mean, it's pretty roomy. You get in there, you can 5 people in that damn thing. Pretty
totally. It's like you enter a new dimension. You open the door and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, kind of.
Not the way it's supposed to work.
It's an engineering marvel. It's not fast by any means, but it's
it's
amazing how much it's done. And the reason that I got that is they're apparently, as I'm told, we'll find out. But when I was doing research for the Prius, is one of the most reliable vehicles ever made.
Yeah.
Not 200,000, not 300,000. We're talking people 700, 800,000.
This is the Toyota. This is Toyota, man. Like this.
I mean, this is and then some.
This is my point. We are locked in on Toyota at this point, but I have a huge appreciation for like, there's more than just Toyota. Like I don't have to, like when I think about what my next car is going to be, my brain is too tunnel visioned on Toyota, whether it's brand new or even like going back in the day. I've talked about RAV4. I drove it again since you and I last chatted.
My wife wants a Highlander.
I love this thing. Highlanders are nice too. Like, but there's nice cars that aren't Toyotas. Like even Honda. You don't have to go far down the street, and Honda is right there. But I there's more to it. Like I love cars, as obviously we talk about it all the time. But I want to get to the point where it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to get a car, I don't have to think about just one. And maybe it's because you've owned so many. Maybe that's the point.
It might be. I mean, I've had some lessons that I've learned. My cousin, he's really an uncle. He's about 15 years older than me, but we're cousins. He was a mechanic, so a lot of this I just get from him. Yeah, like, I will never own a Jeep.
See it all. Yeah,
ever.
Yeah.
He's just 100% ruled them out for me forever. He's like,
that's what my sister-in-law has, and it's like
ever buy a Jeep.
Yeah, like any kind of Jeep, like not Grand Cherokee, like nothing.
Nope.
Yeah.
He does tell me that Wranglers are built different. They're way more rugged, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't touch a Jeep for
Mhm.
anything.
That's too bad because they're so cool.
They
I'm
are.
driving a Jeep in Forza Horizon right now. I'm like, this car is so cool, man.
I would never
But
own a modern Mustang
yeah. Yeah.
for very similar reasons. But those specific Fords I was talking about, like that kind of factory line, were very dependable and rugged and
Mhm.
durable. They're great for like disposable cars. You know, like if
Yeah.
you're looking to get in something cheap, like, you know, I can probably put 100,000 miles on that car and get every bit that I probably more out of it when I
Yeah.
want to sell it, you know.
Mhm.
So it's just a good investment that way. There are those things. There are good investment cars. Then there are just cars that you
It's
want to,
just
like the Challenger was not a good investment at all.
yeah.
Here we are on the cusp of the electric generation
Yeah.
and global warming, and I'm buying Challengers and Venturas. Like, it's completely nonsensical and irrational. But that's where I was coming with the Gibson. That had
Yeah.
nothing to do with those two purchases. Those
Mhm.
two purchases were about want and desire. I wanted one of those cars.
Yeah.
So I went
I
and got that car.
I think what I'm gonna have to end up doing for this one, in order to make it work, I think I'm just gonna have like my classic, you know, piggy bank, just my jar. I'm just gonna put $20 into it every once in a while, you know, $50 here and there.
That's how I've
Save up.
bought every console
Yeah.
for the last couple generations. I started.
I want to get around to that. Like, are you thinking even before they get announced? Like, are you thinking about that sort of thing with like whatever's next?
Yep. I did it with my Wii U, and it worked so well. The Wii U was the first one.
Yeah.
When the Wii U was like first unveiled, remember it was unveiled like 2 years before it released?
Actually, we did. You and I think, yes, we are on the same page of this because Chelsea and I were just starting to get pretty serious at that time, and we did the exact same thing. And we've done. You and I are aligned on
so
this.
what I did is I took a jar, I set a jar aside, and every paycheck I put a $20 bill in that jar. Easy. You can spend $20 at lunch so fast. Like, never miss $20. And by the time
I spent $20 on breakfast with the kids yesterday at McDonald's.
By the time the thing came out, I had more than enough money.
Yeah,
and I did
buying games.
I did the exact same thing with the Series X.
Game
like was
so did I.
It was a Game Awards.
Yeah,
they're like, here's the console. I was like, well, pull up piggy bank, and every paycheck, it's $20. And
I remember everybody talking about the cost of these things and arguing about like how much they're going to cost, and it's like, dude, just when it's coming out. Like, plan ahead. Chelsea and I have taken a similar approach to even Christmas. We know Christmas is coming. We're not surprised by gift-giving season.
I just bought a, you're going to laugh so hard. My father-in-law is an LSU fan.
Yeah.
This year for Christmas, I bought him an autographed LSU helmet.
Nice.
From JSA Sports, which is like an autograph company. I could grab it. It's I can see it. So you're like, people do the same thing at Christmas. Funny story. I buy Christmas presents year round, and I just hide
Yes, that's the same. It's actually the same thing. If you buy it ahead of time, or you're stashing away money, you're going to buy it in November, December, like that. Yeah, you don't have to be surprised. You know what's happening every single year, and it's like you almost don't even want to tell people. I feel like these are the secrets to life that like get you that much further ahead. If you can lock your head around that sort of thing.
The thing about good. Black Friday savings is that you can get a lot better savings if you buy that shit in June.
Sometimes, yeah, especially with Prime Day now.
Well, I was thinking like maybe not with electronics, but like with toys, like Christmas presents.
Oh, yes.
They're cheap if you buy it in June or July. So most years I do a lot of my Christmas shopping. I'm kind of over the summer. A lot of times I try to be like I try to listen for things that like my in-laws or my nieces and nephews will say that they want. And I'll just kind of write little mental notes, and I'll just start picking things up. So like my kids aren't here, so I can say I don't think he ever watched this show. So like Jack a few months ago was talking about how he wanted to have like an OG Game Boy with Pokemon games.
Yeah.
So I bought him a custom modded GBA.
Dude, that's awesome.
Everything with the original Pokemon games.
That's awesome.
Christmas this year.
Man, like that's the coolest. Like not every kid is gonna get something that amazing. That it's very thoughtful as well. In addition to just being rare and
it's like $100. It's cheap.
Well, there you go. That's kind of the magic.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to cost $1 billion, and it's meaningful.
I think ultimately what it comes down to is I try my best not to spend money like out of necessity. Like I like spending money, but I don't ever want to be like forced and like you have to. Like I always want to have all the cards. Like, I'll spend the money.
That's why this Ventura thing is so painful.
Yeah, it hurts.
It's not
stinks.
exactly what you had in mind, I don't think.
Just chop shop. It's just in pieces all over the place.
Yeah. Oh God. I dream about it every once in a while.
I did hear about it. I did actually hear it. I went to the shop. They've got all the engine upgrades on, new headers, new carburetor.
Yeah.
And they were like, I know it doesn't look great. They were like, listen to it. And they fired it up. And here's the thing is, but when I picked it up, you kind of had to hold the shifter like in position and you had to give it gas while you turned it over. You just leaned into the car and turned the keys and it was just like, and I was like, oh, yes. It breathed some life back into me. I was like, oh, it's going to be so good when it's done.
Everything happens for a reason. This is just building up the anticipation so that you have full appreciation for it.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been easy. You couldn't have just like paid for it and gotten a good experience.
The thing is, I make fun of my uncle because my uncle is basically like a father figure to me. And he's the one that loves muscle cars, and he's the one that knows that I love muscle. We used to, like, when I lived with him, I used to work with him, and I used to always be like his helper. So we used to spend summers just talking about old muscle cars for like years. So he knows how much I really like this stuff. And he was like, you don't have to do everything at once. And I'm like, but that's how you end up like you with 18 projects in the yard. I'm trying to get this done so I can drive it and enjoy it. Like I am kind of in a hurry. I am in a rush because I don't want it to just die on the vine. I don't want to just look at it like that for 8 years and before I decide to sell it. Like,
do you take advice from
you know?
Do you take advice from him in other areas though, or is it 100%?
This? Yeah, he's like he is my father figure. When all things go wrong, he's the guy that I call.
Just in this case, you're like, I'm gonna noted, but ignored. I'm gonna maybe do it my way.
He does. He has 100 acres, where where his house is and his business, and he's got a shit ton of. He's got a 78 Dart that's like rusting in the woods.
Classic.
And he's got like 8 trucks down there that I would love to have that are just dying in the woods. And I'm like, like that's how you end up like that.
Yeah.
Like, like he thinks he's patient. I'm like, you're not patient. You're just never going to get to any of this.
Not getting around to it.
Like this will just all die. It'll all just die here in the woods.
I see through your bullshit, uncle. Come on, man. You're not fooling anybody with this stuff. So, you're just not getting it done.
Yeah. So I'm not about that life. That was the thing is once I was like, all right, well, I have it, because a big part of buying it was just to secure it. So many things are getting harder to find and more expensive that I was like, I've got the money. I'm just gonna
jump on it.
I'm gonna have it, and nobody can take it from me. And it's here. And then once I had it, I was like, well, I want to do it nice. Like I don't want to drive it with the windows like this. I don't want to drive it with the interior like this. I don't want to drive it. I want it to be good. So let's go make it good.
I know it's not done yet, but like, are you satisfied with like this era of car? Or is there other eras of cars that you would want to have in like this growing collection?
I would love to have a supercar. Just one supercar. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't have super a favorite, like a super, like a legit, like a supercar, like a legit, like, monster. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the more affordable ones would be like one of the really like performance based Nissans or like a Vet. I'm not really a Vet guy, but they are kind of like especially like the last gen Vets, they're like the cheapest entry to like supercardom. You can pick up a Vet, like a used Vet for 10, 15 grand, that goes 180 miles an hour. Not that I would drive it that fast, just I would like to have one. I would like to have one.
Yeah. My friend, when we were probably just out of high school,
maybe a Porsche.
Okay. Yeah. This is a different realm. Yeah. My friend who was out of high school, he was really into cars. He was one of the first ones to actually get like a decent job, decent paying job. And he was like you, always found good deals and everything. So he bought like probably it was a second gen, maybe 1991, 1992 Mazda RX-7.
Yeah.
He loved that car.
Of course.
And and that's why I was like, I don't think that's supercar, but like that's definitely unique. Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Those things tuned to the brim can really.
It was fast. And you could just smell
eventually.
Seriously.
They will explode and they will cost you a replace, but they are kind of, those things are hot. Those things are very expensive.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. Like, and he actually, you remind me of him quite a lot. And he ended up moving out of the city to like an acreage. He bought a bunch of land outside here, and he would just have cars piling up, like Suzuki this and whatever that, like just.
If I had more money,
not working.
If I had the money to do so, I like if I was to hit the lottery, I would absolutely buy a tract of land, and I would build a garage to house. I would have at least 10 cars.
That sounds amazing.
I've always wanted. I'm not really into like the JDM tuners, but I've always wanted like a Mitsubishi Lancer.
Yeah.
I just really like the boxy look. I
Mhm.
still want a truck. Like I'm very specific with the type of truck that I want, so I'm still looking. But eventually, one day I'll get a truck, and yeah, I'd like to have a supercar.
That's just, and I love thinking about it in this way. This is my, you know me, my mind is always like categories and buckets and things like that. So I think like when you say Lancer, I think about like a bunch of rally cars,
Yeah,
things like that. And a friend of mine had a Lancer, so and I didn't love it. He had like the yellow Lancer, it was very trend like that, you know. And he just kind of, I feel like he just kind of ended up with it. He was the kind of guy who just like ended up with stuff. He ended up with his girlfriend. He ended up with all these other like his job. Like he just found his way through life and this kind of thing. And I test drove a Lancer thinking like that's a cool car, but I didn't really like it. And I don't know if it's the same kind of category, but I think about like Super Imprezas. Like I really like those, and I don't know if I should, to be honest with you. Like I think they're cool. I don't know. I think they're cool.
Those are really cool. Yeah,
a blue or white Impreza, and I think there's a billion
really
different.
Sporty. Like the handling, they're really fun to drive. I would like to have, like a little Lancer just to like zip around town in every now and again. You know.
Is that what you meant? You said Eclipse a little bit earlier. You mean like a Mitsubishi Eclipse? Like oh man, classic. Oh my, I don't know why I missed it actually when you mentioned it. I'm trying to think of what was it an Eclipse in the first Fast and the Furious?
You mean a Supra?
Definitely a Supra.
Or are you talking about Skyline?
There's a Jetta. Oh, maybe it was maybe
the Skyline. I mean, that's legendary. That's GOAT status at this point. Those things are worth $100,000. Those things are really expensive these days.
Oh yeah, I mean they're imported and everything. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my family's away. I could just what if I just went and like go buy a car? So funny.
So I love this because would she? That's where I was going, because my wife told the guy at her church, she was like, yeah, Donnie just went and bought another car. He was like, he just does that? She's like, I can't. He just does whatever he wants. And apparently, like, it definitely doesn't dawn on me. This isn't like an epiphany. I understand how I am, but I'm always so fascinated that it's such a diversion from what the norm is. Like everybody's just like, well, I wish I could, but my wife would lose her mind. Like,
how does money work for you guys? Are you operating from the same bank account? Like, everything comes together? You have your own money. She has her money. That's why. That's the difference. Like we have the same bank account. The only reason we have separate ones is for gifts. Like we have money that comes out of our, like my paycheck goes into it, and Chelsea's money from her job goes into the same thing. Every 2 weeks, money gets split out so that we can buy gifts for each other.
Sure, and we would if it was like, if we were like on a tighter budget. I'm sure we would.
Yeah,
but we're not. I pay all the bills.
Yeah.
She pays a couple bills that like she just handles. And then she's got her money, I got my money.
Yeah, that would do it. That would totally do it. And then like there's not really a conversation to be had, I don't think.
Even if we pulled them all, I would still do it.
You think so?
I'm just fair. I mean, that's just my nature. I'm just not gonna, it's not even me. Honestly, my entire family's that way. Like I give you 12 people that are just like me. I don't think I could. The other, like being the
I don't think it's rare either. Yeah.
Like the sitting down and like talking about it and like having all this, like I would like, that would be a hard thing for me to accept in a relationship, because I am that way. When I want something, I want something. Yeah. And I'll do what I want to do to make it happen, or I won't. Like it depends on how much I want it. Like if I really want something, that's what's going to happen.
Well, the closer maybe I'm graduating towards it. Like the monitor I'm looking at you on right now is a version of that. There was no conversation.
Your PC thing, man. That was
I've got a monitor and this is life changing. And I don't know, like should it be? I don't know, but like,
we've got to get you the racing wheel next.
Yo, I got a flight stick. I'm getting there. I'm getting around to things. I got it for my birthday. This was from my mother-in-law.
Nice.
Thrustmaster. Yeah. So I'm excited to jump into this. There's a bunch of flying games. There's Mech Warrior games I want to jump into here. So yes, I am. Honestly, I've held off on the wheel because Forza Motorsport isn't out yet. I don't want to play Horizon with the wheel. Although
I tried playing Horizon with the wheel and it was a disaster.
That's why, and you're the reason I don't have it. Actually,
I watch people on TikTok do it, and they spin wheelies and they go 400 miles, and I don't understand. I'm like, I don't think I know how to tune my racing wheel correctly. Like I've tried. Dude, I tried. I followed this expert tuning tip. I applied every setting he had, and I put on Forza. I couldn't keep the damn thing on the road. I was all over the place. I was like,
I'll
what
bet.
is happening?
Yeah.
But in F1, I have zero problems, and it's my favorite way to I play Formula One with the racing wheel. I'm going to try it on the
I heard
Crew.
you talking about that.
But I'm excited to try a more motorsport. I was thinking maybe motorsport would be better, but to me, like Playground's Playground, I would imagine it's the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. I was listening to you on PSVG talking about F1. And did you buy that game or was that on Game Pass?
Game Pass? An hour trial until it comes to the vault.
Oh, is it EA?
Yeah. They bought Codemasters.
What the heck? Oh yeah.
You can play it right now.
I'm looking.
You all can play it right now. Game Pass. Go play Formula One.
Is it? How do I even look for F1 games for purchase? I'm only seeing
2022.
Maybe the search isn't very. Maybe
I watched the race today. Excellent race today as well. Several lead changes.
I really feel like I'm missing
strategy.
Yes, the tires. I heard somebody talk about
Ferrari's fucked this whole season. Like, it's been a great F1 season because Ferrari, I would say, and I know I'm not the world's most knowledgeable F1 fan.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari seems undoubtedly to have the better car. Their car is just better.
Yeah.
It's better into the corners. They can brake later. It's faster. Like, it's just, their car is the best.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep fucking it up. They keep finding new ways. It's like week after week. It's like the engine explodes or something breaks or they spin or the strategy is terrible. Like the race was theirs for the taking today.
Mm-hmm.
And they screwed the pooch. I don't know
if making it interesting.
If he doesn't get fired after this season, I don't think he ever could, because like this is just egregious beyond egregious at this point. Like you just feel so bad for Charles Leclerc because it's like he should be in the title hunt and he's 100 points behind Max because his team can't get out of their own way.
Well, and this is like it's like this with any sport where you have a bunch of Monday morning quarterbacks and everything saying like these things that are obvious to the rest of us. Like,
but this is worse than that. Like this, everybody
like.
When they brought him in for hards, everybody was like, "Why?
Yeah,
what are you doing?"
Because it was raining.
Yeah, well, it's yes, but it was just the track position and how much longer they had to go.
Yeah,
that everybody else is going medians. Like hard it just wasn't the right choice. It was as clear as day to anybody that follows. Like, this is the wrong choice.
But is it like the Seattle Seahawks? Like, what do they do? Do they throw and they should have just handed off?
Yeah, for a touchdown. Like you, Marshawn Lynch, just run the ball. It's worse than that.
Yeah, it's
because that's just a play. This is entire strategy. Like, this is lap after lap after lap. Yeah, like this is bad. And but it's made it worse. Not just because today, like this is one of 5 that they've done to him this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's when their strategy is good, the car blows up. When the car is good, they screwed up on their own. It's like, it's just very unfortunate. It's just like it's a series of unfortunate decisions like that leave them behind.
Isn't that a play or something? Series of I don't even know. This is on. I'm trying to figure out EA and its interaction with.
I had to download EA Play, the app.
Yes.
Okay. So Game Pass app.
I'm here. It should at least list it and say like, "Hey, go download it over here." That's
when I believe when you search it, it's like, "Hey, are you looking for an EA game?" And it tries to point you in that direction.
Really?
Yeah, but it's not in the Game Pass app. And the EA app sucks too, by the way. It's not both the Game Pass app on PC and the EA app on PC both suck.
That F1 22, get the game included with Play Pro, which I apparently have. Is that because? Oh no, I don't have this.
You need to tie your.
I need to. Oh my gosh, I'm just going through. I'm going through it right now, man. You know what I will say about this monitor and the graphics card is suddenly like I don't hate this room anymore.
Yes,
I don't hate this chair. Like all the stuff I've been saying, the mental stuff.
My monitor. I brought this. The reason this is here is I've been playing F1 this week, so I've been rolling this over here in front of the monitor. I've been playing some F1.
I actually, I got a. I'm not gonna grab it.
I played as Dust Falls on the PC,
dude. I would love. I know, not to plug my own content, but I'd love to have you listen to or watch the spoiler cast
It's in
I want to hear what you
list,
did.
but I wanted to play it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you you had such good thoughts as you always do. I really appreciate your podcasting and thoughts on this stuff. I was going for a walk earlier today, and I was actually going through, I think I missed last week's one of your shows, and you're going through it, and it's like every detractor to this game that people had that was complete nonsense. You're just like, no, not a thing. Like, it's good that you don't wander around. I think you use the word meander. I use the exact same word when I talked about the game. Like, I'm glad that you don't wander around. The game knows what it is. It thrusts you into that experience, and that's a good thing. Like that, it is what it is.
When you see how As Dusk Falls tackles that style of game, it feels like the Quarry is left behind. It's like they're in a bad generation. It's like, just ditch it. This obvious, it's like you're trying to be a video game. Like, quit trying to be a traditional video game.
Yeah,
you aren't. Go the opposite way. And As Dusk Falls threw that playbook out the window, and they're like, "Nah, this is what we're doing." And I'm playing, and I'm like, "This is way better. I would much rather do this. This is great."
I because there's a lot of pretty positive things said about the Quarry, but like I hear, like, you really are. You're kind of, you become my go-to. Like, if you're playing a game, even Stray, I have felt bad that I haven't gotten around to it. And of course, it's, short, or should be short, but like when you talk about it, it seems like it's twice as long as it actually is. Like, what is happening here?
It doesn't feel short at all. Like,
that's not a good thing. That's a terrible thing.
Struggling a bit during the game. I was like, oh, I finished it just to finish it. And I was glad that I did. I do think the ending is good, but I mean, it took a bit of willpower to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for something to play on my PlayStation 5.
I'm playing Gears 2.
Gears. I played Gears 4 since we last talked.
I know. You started. I bought Lancers, Sean. I had these fucking Lancers.
Seriously, it's like, and people wonder why the show is long. Like, each one of these things is 45 minutes each. Man, easy.
I bought Lancers. I've been on a kick of late. I've been telling folks in our Discord, I'm like, I'm feeling the itch. I've been wanting to play, and my whole thing has been, that when I got this Series X, I went and played Ultimate Edition over. I was like, I'm gonna go back and play Gears. I had a great time.
Yeah,
and I've just been like, between games that I'm playing, I've been like, do I want to play all the Gears over again or just 4?
Yeah.
And I've just been going back and forth. Like, do I just want to do 4? I don't want to do them all. Yeah. And then when there were rumors of like this, mythical Phoenix collection, I was like, well, let's hold off for a while.
Yes, I did the same thing.
And then it didn't come out, and I was like, I need to play something Gears. So this week, actually, with the christening of my Lancers, Dose Lancers 2, which I'm very excited to talk. I want to talk about my purchasing. SVG is the best place to talk about it.
Sure.
I've always wanted a Lancer. I was like, I'm gonna play them, and I think it was a low roll in our Discord. He was like, Donnie, what Gears game should I play first? And Sean, that question fucked my whole day up. I was going back and forth. I had so many. I think I gave him like 6 different answers. I was just like,
so funny.
I couldn't, because there's a part of me that was just like, Gears 5 is the best experience of Gears you can have. So play that.
Yeah.
And he was like, but I'm playing for the campaign. I'm like, oh, none of it's going to make any fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, starting with 4 is an okay place.
And I was like, go to 4. That's what I was like. I was like, go to 4. And if you like that, play Gears 5. And then I was thinking, I was like, but none of the like bigger world meaning of what Kate's going through will make any sense. Mira and all that, like, it won't make any sense to anybody.
I feel like we may be in the middle of a Star Wars experience here, Donnie.
Oh,
and what I mean by that is, what if 4, 5, and 6 is the trilogy?
No, but it's not though. No, because 2
but
and
it
3,
could be.
2 and 3 are the best. Like 2 and 3 are just the best in the series.
And I'm not trying to equate 1, 2, 3 to the prequels of Star Wars.
They haven't been remastered yet, so people haven't. Like 2 and 3 are the peak of Gears. Like those the best Gears.
And I guess like what I'm getting around to here, and I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but when I played 4 this is the first time that I played it, I was upset with how convenient everything kind of
remember.
went. And
I remember this. I remember both when you played 4 originally, and I was like, nah, me and Sean just disagree on this.
Yeah.
And the reason I remember that is because I disagree with Kevin too. Kevin also wasn't a 4, and I was like, you guys understand. 4 is great. Like, this is incredible. This is
Look, you don't get it.
and I remember this most because when 5 came out, I was like, 4 is better. And everybody's like, what, are you crazy? I'm like, it is. It was
Then 5?
Yeah, it was a better campaign. I actually feel like that's not even a crazy, like, that's just true.
I think I might, and I now having replayed it recently, I think I might be with you. I talked about this very briefly, I think, on the Xbox Drive with Ryan, but I maybe want to explore this with you. Like this notion of games circa 2014 to 2016, 2017, something in there is the last era of that style of game where the game is just the game. It's just the campaign. It's a high quality 10 to 15 hour campaign. Rise of the Tomb Raider was the other example that I brought up, because as soon as you go to Gears 5, like it's not that anymore.
No.
And as soon and you go to like Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden.
Gears 5 is incredible. It's technically
of course
a marvel.
Of course,
I mean,
of course.
Incredible technically, multiplayer, it's stellar.
Yep.
Like, performance, graphics, all of that is great. Everything about Gears 5 is better than Gears 4, except the storytelling, the plot, and the narrative. Like,
it's just how tight it is.
The lore of Gears 4 is what makes the whole damn thing work. Like, it is, they pack so much into 4. If you're trying to follow along the video game campaign and this history of the Phoenix family and everything, there's so much in Gears 4 for you. There's so much. It's just packed to the brim. And in Gears 5 really doesn't advance anything. Like,
I kind of want to replay 5 now. Like, that's kind of where I'm at.
The thing that I always said about Gears, and I love Gears 5 is great. I'm not saying anything bad about Gears 5, but what I think my biggest stone that I would throw at Gears 5 is that I feel like you could play Gears 4 and then pick up wherever Gears 6 starts and not really miss much, because they didn't really advance the story a whole lot in Gears 5. It basically ends not in the exact same place as Gears 4, but relatively you're still in the same time period, like
as the player. Yeah,
you're still
as
kind of in the same place that Kate was in at the end of 4. Like, you haven't moved much forward.
You're pushing her along. Like, she doesn't even know where and this actually feeds into my point about what, like, imagine reorganizing time where you're playing 4, 5, and what will be 6 first, and then you get to go back and then like play 1, 2, and 3. So some people have this because they never played 1, 2, and 3.
And I agree with you. I definitely think the trilogies are apart from each other. I think you could play them individually.
Right. But would it be better to go back afterwards?
Here's the thing that won me over is I had never replayed 2 or 3 after the back-combat enhancements. I didn't know how they were. I didn't know what they were. I was like, the thing that made me tell Low World to start with 5 or 4 first was I was just like, we have Ultimate Edition, which I have always claimed isn't that ultimate. It's good, but it's not like amazing good.
Was it TPR writing in about the port is wildly unstable?
On PC, apparently it's a train.
Yeah.
Now, Dev told me that he played it and it's really good now, so maybe they fixed. I don't know.
Okay.
Stay tuned. I still haven't played it on PC, so I have no idea.
I'm sitting here playing with my joystick. You can't see it, but I'm just.
When somebody's like, Donnie, what Gears game should I start first? Like, I love the series, and that love makes me screams to me. It's like, just start at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then I remember, I'm like, but Gears 2 and 3 are just Xbox 360 games. It's like, I don't know. Then I played Gears 2. And Gears 2 and Back's Compat is pretty fucking great.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's really good. It's in 4K. It's 60. I was like, this looks good.
Yeah.
So after, like, literally in our Discord, there's like 3 hours where I'm going back and forth, just questioning my own logic. And then at the end, there's about an hour break where I go play Gears 2 and I come back and like, forget everything I said. Just go play Gears 1 and just start at the beginning and just
really
everybody else. Yeah. Like, I've just changed my entire opinion. Just go back to the beginning. Play
timing
1, 2,
is everything.
3,
yes.
4 and 5. Just
timing is everything on this, because I don't think that you could tell somebody go play 4 and then you'll play 5 next and then you're done and then go back to 1, 2, and 3. Like, it's incomplete. But my issue with 4 the first time that I got a different perspective playing the second time was I was too focused on the things that were similar, that felt lazy carryovers. Like, oh, this time we're just going to call them juvies and they're going to call these ones like they're just different versions of it.
It really opens poorly. That is something that I would definitely give Gears 4. Gears 4's opening is just slow. It takes a couple hours to get going, and it's just
the first time I was focused on. The first time I played, I'm like, this is not this is not very good. I don't really like it. The second time I played, I'm like, I knew that it was temporary, and I didn't focus on that
excellently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it just it gives you, like, if you've been along that Gears ride, you've been on this this war and this all, man, it gives you everything you could have hoped for. And the third act of Gears 4 is incredible.
Yeah, it's actually much more mature. The whole storytelling of it,
yes.
the approach to it is much more mature. I mean, not to throw anything, I love Cliff Bleszinski. I don't think that's a popular thing to say these days, but I love everything that he's given to the video game industry. Unreal is one of my favorite games. Gears is amazing. All these other things. But this is not a Cliff Bleszinski production.
No,
4 and 5.
No. You know, like it's different. It's a different take.
Yeah, a grown up wrote it.
And it has, it has emotional moments and emotional beats, but they're made. I was actually just talking to Dev about this because I think he's trying to play Gears. He's trying to get into Gears. And he was just asking me, like, what is it about this series that gets you? And I was like, well, at the beginning, I just loved how hard they went after it, like how hardcore Gears was. Yeah. It was like unapologetic this way. Like Cliffy B, right? You know, it's like a very much
chainsaw. It's a gun with a chainsaw.
Exactly, on it. Exactly. It's just like do shit. We're kicking doors down. We're blowing shit up. But as the series evolves and as the narrative goes on, it's like, no, I grew attached to these characters, and this is why this franchise stuck with me in a way that very shooters do. There's a reason that I have Lancers on my damn shelf, is because these characters really drew me in, and I think that was cemented with 4. And like that's really the thing that makes 4 special, is that they bridge that gap so smoothly. Like they went from this era to this new era without making you really feel like a whole lot's changed. Wow, a whole lot has drastically changed.
Yeah,
like, a lot changed.
It's man, this will go down as one of my, now I got to question everything. Like, what do I know when I review a game? Like, I don't know anything apparently, because I was dead set in my opinion on it.
I don't think you have to be too hard on yourself. I think it's just a different place, a different time. You have a different appreciation for things.
And I say me, I mean me and everyone else. What is it? What does anybody know?
That's art.
Yeah.
You know, some things are remembered, you know, incorrectly until somebody, you know.
I mean, Wind Waker is another example of that.
Yep.
What were we looking at? What were we fighting about and angry about? I mean, they still don't have inverted controls, so I don't know one way or another. I just outside looking.
That was why I was, if you remember back then, that's why I was always beating the drums for Gears 4.
Yeah.
It was like, guys, this is amazing Gears game. Like what they've done, how they kicked off Kate, how they it was basically like a wrestling double turn. They're like, you're JD, and you're like, oh, this is the same shit as always. And then they slowly turn you and like, no, now you're Kate. And it's like this whole thing happened during the match, but it's like you didn't really recognize what was happening.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and it's like,
but it actually wasn't until the second time.
Adventure.
By then it was, and that might have been, maybe it's a complaint, maybe again, time and place or whatever. But it wasn't until the second time that I played that I stopped focusing on all the things that were hanging me up before, because they realized they actually don't really matter. Doesn't matter how convenient some of these things were. What actually matters is the handoff from Marcus to JD and his friends and Kate, and how this is much more interesting to play.
Up a whole new universe.
It's way better. And it looks great, by the way.
Compare to like what the campaign in 4 does.
Yeah.
You compare that to what the campaign in 5 does. They're not comparable.
Oh man,
they're not even close.
Now I gotta go back.
And I love Gears 5, but it's like, these are not this, like Gears 4. And now I feel like I always have to preface this because there are so many Gears players out there that play Gears for the multiplayer. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just talking.
Only the elite. If you're playing Gears multiplayer, like you are legitimately great at Gears. That's the only people who are left.
I'm just talking campaign wise, and campaign wise, Gears 4 campaign is.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing. Like I remember like playing through some of these levels, and it's like, okay, you're just putting multiplayer stuff into the single player, and I thought that was kind of shoehorned in. I had issues with that, but then you play
Judgment too. They did the same thing.
Yeah. But Judgment's actually super fun.
Yeah,
and that's another like.
But a lot of that is they're throwing multiplayer like elements into the campaign, and they're trying to coax you into that by giving you taste and stuff. Yeah,
here's a couple levels of Horde, you know, a couple 3 or 4 waves of whatever. That's
and you played Hivebusters, right?
Hivebusters is great.
I could use a whole Hivebusters game.
Yeah, I actually can't. I mean, they should be focusing on the next game, but yeah, that'd be nice to kind of
like Gear 6 is a ways off. But here's the actual Gears Hive by the whole second side story. I'm like, yes.
They could tackle it in with a Marcus Phoenix collection. Maybe that's how they.
I really hope that's a real thing. I don't see how the coalition can do it, but
we're 4 years away from Gear 6.
Thing that I really want that to be a thing.
How long do you think till Gear 6?
I want to play Gears 2 and 3 as beautiful and as amazing as Gears
Yes.
5 can be. I also want Gears multiplayer on PC, just for the benefit of the franchise. Like, I just want like Gears multiplayer. Like, I think, like, you see what Halo Master Chief Collection is doing, and I only imagine
I
like
see
what
what you're
it
saying.
could be like if it was Gears. Like, oh
crossplay.
my God, that would be incredible for the Gears franchise.
Yeah,
you know, because I have this chip on my shoulder. I always have, of Gears being like this stepson to Halo, and it's always bothered me. I'm like, I don't get it. And I think a Phoenix collection could prove that. I think they could really showcase that, like how important the series is. If they could remaster everything and put it in a collection on Steam, I think it would be huge.
Wonder, like, even just the approach. It's got to be a different approach. You don't copy and paste the format of Halo Master Chief Collection, because obviously that didn't really work. So you got to have a different mindset around it so that it would actually function.
And I was even thinking more of like a live servicey type. I could imagine them doing like Gears multiplayer and then them like patching on. I mean, maybe it's not all at once. Maybe it's like, here's Gears Ultimate Edition and all of our favorite multiplayer maps, and then next year here's Gears 2 and a couple more maps, and here's Gears 3 and a couple. And like, you just keep, like kind of how they did Master Chief after launch. Like, there was Master Chief for 2 or 3 years, and then there was like that second era of Master Chief when they redid the UI and everything, and then they were like, and here's a Reach, and here like
that's when it got me.
Kind of do that, but at the start, like start small and then work your way up to there.
They don't have as many, like, Judgment is really the only like side thing that they really have. Like, I don't know that, like, and it depends. It kind of depends on what state Xbox is in. Oh, that's true. Yeah, Judgment and Tactics. I can see. That makes sense. Yeah,
I got the Tactics controller. Did you see that?
What did you?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. That's nice. Yeah, Gears just has to. What do you think about 6 though? Number 1, when do you think it's going to come out? And number 2, you saw what they were trying to maybe evolve the series into with these semi-open world kind of thing.
Which I like.
You think they go like Horizon? Like, it's totally wide open?
I was taking, as I always have, I think of more Uncharted. I think of Uncharted kind of like this wide linear type of thing.
Yeah.
Where you have like these kind of.
I feel like that's what it was before.
Well, yeah, but like Gears 5 was definitely bigger, grander. It was more like
definitely.
It was
that's what I'm wondering
on that Horizon, on the Uncharted type of scale.
I don't view Horizon. Sorry, did you say Horizon or Uncharted? What am I disagreeing?
Uncharted. Horizon would be full blown open world.
Yes.
Whereas Uncharted, like Gears 5, felt, and I'm just speaking just in design, a lot like Uncharted 4.
Uncharted 4, like maybe.
Big moment, like you can go from area to area at free will, but it is.
I would equate those two.
And I would keep it on that path as opposed to a full blown open world shooter.
Yeah. I don't want it to get any bigger.
I like that they're different. Let's keep them different.
I agree, and that's my point about Gears 4. Is like, that might be the last of that style of game.
Maybe
level to level, area to area. That might be it.
And I think they still pull it off with Gears 5. You're still doing that. You still have your plenty of corridors that hook you up to the next open area. But yeah, they did try to evolve it a bit. And another thing that I was actually just thinking about, this is spoilers for BSVG, so you're gonna hear this twice. Another thing that I really love about Gears, as Dev was questioning me about my fandom for the series, is I love how different Gears is for a shooter. I think that's what originally hooked me with Gears, is that I liked shooters. I loved Killzone and Call of Duty and Battlefield, and I played all of them. And I just liked shooters. Shooters are cool. But Gears was like a shooter, but different.
Yeah.
It was like the first non-Call of Duty shooter after Call of Duty that I was like, but I like this shooter too. Whereas like now, when I play a shooter that isn't like Call of Duty, like when I play Battlefield, I'm like, why don't you like Call of Duty?
Pretty much. Yeah.
But when I play Gears, I never think that, because I've adopted that like tankier movement, cover-based shooter. Like, I like that. It's like, this is Gears though. This is different.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, I've adopted that kind of gameplay loop as something I really enjoy.
It's the focus on the guns. I think the fact that you even have a Lancer, like the fact that it's even notable enough to own like a trinket of it of some sort, I think is special. I think that's a lost art in the world of shooters. It used to be a thing with like Doom and Wolfenstein and things like this. Like
BFG.
Totally. Like it was like the guns were a thing, and as time has gone on, it's like, well, here's your shotgun.
Become the minutia. They've all just become the same thing.
So the game centers on a unique weapon.
John, that is such a damn good point. You're sitting thinking, I'm thinking of like Cerebral Bore and all the shit that you like. You're right. Doom, dude, like Turok. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's spot on. Even GoldenEye. Golden guns and shit. Like,
Golden guns. What makes it special?
The guns. They were so cool. We used to ask each other, like, man, did you get you remember the lasers of the RP90?
Yes.
Like, dude, the RP90.
Yes.
Legit. You're right.
Yeah, and Doom, actually, the latest Doom did this quite well, actually, too. It made it a moment when you got to the next gun. It was like, oh, I got this one now. And now let's see what we can do with this. It wasn't just like, and you find another gun, thing here. So it's the guns in Gears, and then also the active reload is just something very unique. They dedicate a whole damn button to it.
Yeah.
You know, like
it is captivating.
The timing of it
keeps your attention. When you run out, like you got to hit it. And how much does it pain you if you miss it? You're like,
terrible. And it's different for every gun. Like they could have made it the same every time as the same, like whatever. But some guns, it's like, you know, there's a part after. I don't even know how to describe it. Like there's a quick reload. Sometimes you wait and all those kind of things, like the acceptable kind of area. Like that is all these little tweaks make it very, very special. So, and where I was thinking about Gears 5 coming after Gears 4, the primitive part of it that I'm wondering how it will hold up is in Gears 5. I humble brag, I got to talk to Rod Ferguson about the design of Gears 5 over at the Coalition, one of the greatest experiences ever. And he talked to me in a very humbling kind of way. He talked to me about in Gears 4 and other Gears games, you would enter an area and then it would be battle time. You would have you'd enter a room and everybody's there and they would turn to you and then they would start. And so he talked a lot about, and this is just, marketing messaging stuff that he was relaying, but emergent gameplay, emergent battles where you would enter a room and the battles would happen a little bit more organically instead of very arcade video gamey style. So I'm curious to go into Gears 5 next, because I was quite aware of that, knowing that was something that they had recognized. Gears 4 is that. You move to the next room, and then somebody sees you, and then you do battle, you clear the room, you move on to the next one. Gears 5, they had a different approach to that, which I recognized because he said, and then I played it, but I hadn't gone back to the old style of play and how jarring that might be in the future. So those are the little things in game design that I don't think anybody probably notices. I probably wouldn't have noticed if he didn't say that. But I'm curious, like, what versions of that are coming up next for. It's not just a bigger world. It's how do you start a combative type of experience?
I would want more things. I wouldn't want them to go bigger in terms of size.
Yeah,
I would want them to go bigger in terms of scale.
Yes,
I'm thinking of like the skiff, when you're on the skiff, and like basically you can go to like 3 different points to clean up some stuff, and maybe one's optional. Right?
Yeah.
Like my cat's behind my monitor. That's why everything's shaking. So I would like that to expand beyond that. Like maybe you get to the open area of the part and maybe there's 8 different places you can go to. Maybe 3 of them are optional, like just make it bigger and there's more stuff there to do. So you're not just, traveling from point to point, make it not feel like a point, make it feel like the whole place is a place.
Can you have bigger scale battles, I think? And it's weird to say, because you think when you think Gears, you think big battles, big enemies, things like that, but they really aren't. Like they really are.
No, I don't think so.
Quite contained. But do you think that you could ever see? Right. It's like, if you have 4 people on your side, you're battling another like 20 enemies at a time.
Yeah.
But do you have like a Braveheart style thing? Is Braveheart? Who's it? Mel Gibson. Braveheart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Lord of the Rings, just like hordes, like really an actual horde. Could that be Gears?
I would like if you made a Gears like RTS or something, like I'd be down for that, but I don't want that.
Yes. Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's clunky. Like that's the thing that doesn't really jive. How do you like do it in an agile way? Get around.
They do it a lot in Gears, but they do it in like gigantic set pieces where they give you giant amounts of firepower. Like
they give you a turret or something.
When in the turret, you're like holding a wall. You get like on the back of, you get like mortars and stuff, and then they'll send you just waves of enemies you to obliterate. But yeah, the actual gunplay of the game, I don't think that's necessarily what I want in terms of.
But that's where my mind went when you said scale. I was like, okay, so what exactly does that mean? Like, is it a giant enemy?
More of those installations built out, maybe random encounters of skirmishes, like make them feel more spontaneous.
I think vehicles are the key to that.
Vehicles would be good. Yeah, the skiff was cool.
The skiff is kind of like getting there. I don't remember what the vehicle was called in the first one with the light. That was an interesting. thing, that very horror like. Yeah, I don't know, man. Freaking Gears of War.
Love Gears. It is. I've always resisted saying it's my favorite Xbox franchise just because I love Fable so much. I always felt wrong to choose between the two, but in reality, there really is no. The reality is that I probably look back at Fable with such gigantic rose-colored glasses, but the reality is that I actually love Gears 1,000 times more than Fable, only because Gears has given me a lot more to love than Fable has.
Do you have? I don't know. This is kind of what you're talking about. I was talking to Ryan about this a little bit. I think it was about it was about The Last of Us, where he that experience for him was so special and so unique. It made such an impact that he doesn't want to sully it by playing it again. And I was straining to think, I don't think I have that with any game. I don't think I have a single game experience where I'm like, I don't want to play it again because that was so perfect to me. I don't know, but maybe I haven't ruined one yet by doing it.
When you say that, something does come to mind, but I think it's for a very specific reason, so I don't think it necessarily fits. But like, I don't think I would ever replay The Walking Dead, any of them. And it's only because like I have the story and the experience and decisions I made, and like that was the game. And I would hate to go back and like, I don't know, see something that like doesn't jive because it feels, I don't know, like, but like those are very like decision making type games, not like game. I don't think it's necessarily one-to-one comparison speaking.
Yeah, if you have like, if you're there for gameplay, then it's
Dust Falls again. Just like I've never replayed. Well, that's not true. I've replayed Life is Strange Before the Storm twice, but I've never replayed another Life is Strange game.
It's funny that you say it about As Dust Falls. Like that screams replayability to me.
There's so much there, but it's like those are the types of things that like, I will see what other outcomes. Like I'll go and look it up, but I don't want to replay it because it's like that would encroach on how I played it.
Interesting.
You know, it's like I don't want to see that differently.
My approach to it was very third party in a way of I didn't make my own choices throughout. I got to a point within the game, it was maybe a couple hours in, where I was like, okay, I understand who these characters are enough to know this is what they should choose. I believe that I was role playing big time. So that can't, I don't think that can be sullied, right? And I think the other piece too, to give Ryan a little bit of credit, is Ryan's memory is very good, especially with games. So even if it was 10 years afterwards, like he would remember moment to moment. Whereas I've got, a touch of the Alzheimer's. A little bit like I will forget, and so if I do replay a game, it's not really. In some cases, it's actually not even replaying it because I forget quite a lot. Especially and Gears 4 is an example of this.
Outside of the set pieces,
yeah, you remember the moments, but like you don't always remember like this left turn leads to this right turn.
You find
big time.
No, for something like The Last of Us, or the other thing I would bring up, like a lot of Zelda games, which I've replayed a bunch.
Yeah.
I fall in love with the story and the characters, but I also fall in love, like those are games that I really love to play.
Yeah.
I love to play The Last of Us. It's a great stealth loop game. Like their stealth loop action-based game is my favorite, and I'm not a particularly like stealth-based fan, but like
me neither.
Big reason why I never got into Splinter Cell or a lot of those types of things.
Yeah.
Like with The Last of Us, it's kind of scratching that sort of itch for me, like an old school like Metal Gear. I really love playing them. They're fun to play. So not only do I love the characters and story, but they're really fun to play. So I want to replay them.
Right. Yeah, like experience it again. And you've really just blown my mind open to this. Like 2022 is the year of replaying games. I did at least 2 of them so far, or at least I've even playing brand new games. So Rise of the Tomb Raider, Gears 4 so far. Nice. Who knows what's going to be next? I did buy Xenoblade, but I don't know, man. And I haven't even really started it. I bought it, but I'm like, why did I? That was definitely
failed, and I don't think it'll ever return to that dock. I have no want or desire or interest. I don't even want to know about it. I'm like,
I think it's just an old habits die hard for me.
Long. It's been fun.
I got caught up in it. I fired it up. I'm like, I don't know if this is, and I had the time. I could have played it before this. I even said to Ryan, like, I'm going to go play some Xenoblade before this, and I didn't. I ended up playing guitar. I got a little distracted. Yeah. Nice. That's where I'm at though. And all these, like even F1, like I have games. why am I buying games, Donnie?
Yeah.
I don't need to be. I don't need to be doing this.
I did Stray and I did As Dust Falls, so that cleared my slate until Cult of the Lamb. So I was
Oh
like, I'm
yeah.
gonna play a little racing, and I've been so into cars the last couple weeks that I was like, I'm gonna play some
Mhm.
F1. I did buy the Crew 2. I never played the Crew
I did
1.
not like that game. I
I
did
bought
not
the
like the
Crew
Crew.
2 on Steam for $4.
Yeah, good.
And I
That
was like,
that, that could change
I'm gonna
something.
take it
Mhm.
around with the steering wheel and see what
Mhm.
happens. See what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing is I feel like I've been really feeling the itch to play Midnight Club. And it's like I want
Interesting.
something to scratch that itch. It's like I really just kind of feel like I want a new Midnight Club.
What about like a Need for Speed? Would that do it?
I thought about buying the Switch one that's on sale. That's an old one, but I haven't played a new Need for Speed game in a bit.
I didn't realize there was a Need for Speed on Switch.
Yeah, they did the one with the cops from like PS4 they put on
Most
Switch.
Wanted, was it?
And it was like $8. And I was like, maybe I thought about it, but I never
Yeah.
looked at it actually.
I showed Lincoln. I wanted to show somebody. I was, this monitor is just ridiculous, and so I was showing Lincoln Forza on it, and I'm like, "Do you like the car game?"
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and he actually did, and I'm like, "Oh, you don't really like." I guess we have a PlayStation upstairs as well now. I've moved it from our main area down here. Now Chelsea can play it upstairs. She doesn't really come down here all that much anymore. But I want like Lincoln to experience that too. I want like racing games was definitely at the beginning of me playing video games. Was a lot of Need for Speed, especially. There's this old game. Some people back in the day might remember a game called Stunts, an old DOS game, very, very old.
Yeah,
But racing games were kind of it. Like back then, it was what can you do with a video game? This is why something like Walking Dead and games with like consequence really started to become quite popular, because back in the day, it was, well, you could shoot things and you could drive things or you could fly things, and that was
sure
kind of it. Like the fact that you started to have consequence in story was
a big reason why I really took to Grand Theft Auto games was the driving. A lot of those games, driving games for me. My dogs are going crazy. Give me a second.
No, all good. Well, it's funny that you bring up. It's too bad you're actually going away for this, Donnie Reese, as he goes to check on the dogs for the audio listeners here on PSVG earlier this week. The guys were talking a little bit about the next Grand Theft Auto, which seems to be a rumored. I don't know if it's exactly. Did they actually announce it? I'm not entirely sure. It might have been confirmed. I guess they confirmed the main character, or one of the main characters being Latina, and the interesting space that Grand Theft Auto finds itself in without its main creative team, with the way that the world is these days. I don't know. I'm very curious to see where that game can actually end up, because it's always been quite offensive, actually, in a lot of different ways, whether it's the violence, which is definitely the first thing that jumped out to me playing Grand Theft Auto 1 and especially 2, which I don't know how many people have actually seen or played those original Grand Theft Auto games, but they're wildly different from Grand Theft Auto 3. The original, like, Donnie, did you ever play the old PC, the Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 games?
Yes.
The top downs?
Yeah, top down.
Can you get, like, I guess, I mean, why they should port those? Can I get that on Steam?
I think on mobile.
That's not porting.
On mobile they have.
But that is really like,
I
didn't even play the actual campaign to it. I just like killed people and I just ran people over. I saw how many cops I could have total. That was my Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 experience. And then 3 came out and just like blew the lid off of it.
Yeah.
But I was listening to you guys. I was just commenting. I was listening to you guys talk about this. Like, what's next for Grand Theft Auto? And I have my doubts. I have my doubts.
I'm very concerned.
Totally.
I am very concerned.
Yeah, I think you have reason to be, because Grand Theft Auto means something. And this is, maybe it's a similar fashion of what our thoughts were on Gears of War. Like, maybe it meant something. It's not quite as drastic, not quite as identifiable, I don't think. But if they change it, like, what does that mean? And is it just a $200-500 million whatever giant open world game that made by this company? Yeah. Or is it something that's going to piss people off?
Well, I've been thinking about it, because it's like, I don't want it to be edgy just for edgy's sake. That was never the intent. It's just that I appreciated the satire, and I always felt like the game was smart. Like the game was, smart and humorous.
Yeah.
In a way that other games weren't, and that was a big part of it. And it wasn't just the cutscenes or the characters. A lot of it was the radio, just the topics
right
into, and then Laszlo and the different radio channels, and like how they depicted the world. So I don't know if they're going to go back in time, then I think they can keep it going. But I think the thing that concerns me now is it sounds like it's something they don't want to do. based on the reporting. That's the thing that concerns me. Is it sounds like this doesn't seem like a core that they want to keep going. This is something they want to distance themselves from, and that makes me wonder, what does that mean? Like, is it just Red Dead, Grand Theft Auto? Because if it is, that just doesn't sound nearly as compelling. I'm sure I'll buy it and try it because I love Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
but if I start playing and that's what it is, like,
part of it has to be some sort of newfound freedom. Then I guess, like, if you really start to break down what is it about Grand Theft Auto, what is it like? The freedom has to be part of, like, that's right from the first two that I was commenting on. Third was obviously 3D.
The characters must be excellent, because if you're going to get away from that, then you got to make up for it in somewhere else. And then, the story must be cinematic as hell and really, really riveting. Because if it's not, like, if it's not any of that, and it loses, like, I don't know what to call it, like, its identity, like, that's Grand Theft Auto's identity. That is what people think of when they think of Grand Theft Auto. Like, when you hear the words Grand Theft Auto, that's part of it.
Yeah, I'm in no rush for it to come out. I guess there's that. Like, I'm not anxiously awaiting it. Not really.
It's so funny. It's really funny to see all the YouTubers catch on to, like, the woke Rockstar thing. They're like, everybody's upset about it this week because Jason. It's like, you guys don't know what you're talking about, because people have been upset about this for months. This isn't just like Jason didn't just break this open. This has been floating around in Rockstar spaces, like Rockstar Reddit, Grand Theft Auto Reddit. This has been a thing for a minute now, and a lot of people have been concerned about this. And it's like, I've actually, this is one that I felt early on, because I've been bringing up, like, I brought it up on Board of Video Games like last month. Like, I've been kind of like, I'm hearing some things about the next Grand Theft Auto that I won't say worry me. I don't want to paint it like, oh my God, I hate it, I'm never going to play it. Like, I'm not totally here at all. It just sounds very different.
You're making predictions that you'll be like, I told you so. Saw this coming. I won't be surprised when they reveal it and it is what it is. Yeah. And it's funny because it's deeper than just like, a female lead. Like, that's not what I'm talking about at all.
That's the thing that pisses me off, is everybody's boiling it down. They're like, it's woke because there's a female. It's like, nobody that's saying that gives a shit that there's a female lead.
Totally.
Nobody cares.
That's not my point. Not even a little bit.
That's not the point. But as you know, Grand Theft Auto Vice City is my favorite Grand Theft Auto. And if they went back to something more like that, and it was more cinematic, maybe more like a movie or something, I'm down. Yeah, that sounds great. We can do that, and it won't be as punchy, and I'm okay with that. But it'll still be good.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But will it be? Like, that's the thing. Will it be as good?
Like, where does it take its inspiration from? I look at somebody like, jumping over to movies like Quentin Tarantino, who still manages to be like, man, you watch that movie, you will remember that. And it doesn't have to be left or right or anything political. It's just like, maybe some language that isn't all that great. But like, definitely punchy.
Caught up in GTA 5, and they feel like Grand Theft Auto needs to be a satire of modern day, and it doesn't. And it's never had to be. Or like GTA 3 wasn't like modern day. It may have felt like that for video games, but it wasn't at the time. It wasn't like modern day.
It wasn't.
I didn't think so. Did you?
3, yes, but like maybe San Andreas or Vice City, which were built off of that, I thought were a bit of a time warp of some sort.
Yeah,
but 3 I felt like was just like a slice of time. Yeah. GTA 4, same thing. GTA 4, Liberty City, like those are all like, they seem, like the year that they came out with. I don't know that they were period pieces really at all, but those other ones, for sure. Vice City, I wouldn't say like this is happening right now. It could have been, but I didn't look at it that way.
I guess like that Rockstar DNA of being able to push buttons and not be afraid of pushing boundaries and the headline. And it really seems like maybe now that they might be. And I think that is what fans of the series are really complaining about.
Well, and the teams are changing. Obviously, there's the good news about the culture and everything, but like the creative minds behind it, I don't think that the writers are even the same.
Bowser brother left. Like, a lot of people have left. There's been a lot of turnover. So it will undeniably be very different.
Yeah. So now you have to make the thing, because how do you not make another one of those things? But And
the other part of it, like I think less reported, is the live servicey part of it.
Yeah.
they even openly admit it. We're going to start with this thing. We're going to add on to it over time. It's like, it sounds a lot like GTA Online.
Yeah.
Are you kind of blending these two worlds together? Are they still going to be separate products? Like, are we going to have like a GTA Online campaign and then a GTA Online
This is where
like,
you find out, how did these things actually succeed? Was it the how edgy they were in the past, and then eventually they kind of added on online features and cultivated that audience, or was it the online audience that did it all along?
That's where I'm actually more of they tapped into this thing that made them insanely successful.
Yes,
And
that's
now
what I
they're
think.
taking those principles and I'm like, let's just do that over here now.
And can you do that?
We'll find out.
And like, I don't think that you can. And I don't know if I'm just being, again, old about this, but I feel the same way about Call of Duty, where I don't like when they just, what game was that? They just did a multiplayer. There was no single player. Was that,
Black Ops?
Was that Black Ops 4?
4. I was gonna say 3 or 4. It's one of them. Yeah. They ditched the campaign pretty late.
And I'm like, I don't want that for Call of Duty, because I like the single player, but I feel like that's the path that's a lot of people, not everybody. There's obviously way more people who play free Warzone, way more people who play multiplayer Call of Duty, but there's an importance to that core audience who start there and move on to something else. It's a pipeline kind of situation. So do you just cut off that pipeline just to get all the good stuff? And I don't know if you can do it. And I don't want it. I still want a solid single player experience. Always. I always will.
This entire time with a lot of this stuff. That's what you heard me say about Assassin's Creed Infinity and all of this stuff. It's like, this is just not what I want at all. So we'll find out.
Good. They can make all their old their new games, and we'll just keep playing our
the thing that I haven't
stuff.
let go of. The thing that I think I'm clinging on to hope for is that they're so successful.
Yeah.
They made so much money that it's like, I can't imagine anything they put out will just be a miss.
Yeah.
I imagine whatever they do will be really good.
Sure.
Rockstar, and that's what they do.
Yeah. But everything's under the microscope when you're talking about that kind of budget. And I'm tempted to go back to Red Dead Redemption, because Marcus O'Neill was talking about this, and he's got me convinced that maybe I've got to give it another shot. But with that said, there's so much money, so much talent. The best people in the world making video games can be working here. In the past, we've kind of looked at, the driving isn't like the best, and the shooting isn't the best, and the graphics are whatever. And like, there's all these concessions that we make because it's Grand Theft Auto, and it has all these other features and things that people like about it. I feel like with Grand Theft Auto 6, if things change as much as it seems like they will, as far as how far they're going to push the boundaries, and it becomes a little bit more generic on that front, suddenly all these other game mechanic centric things come to the top of the conversation. And I wonder how Grand Theft Auto survives that. Like, it's average at best. Like, is it the same driving as before? Is it the same shooting as before? I feel like with everything, like they almost have to be way better. Not even almost. They have to be way better.
I don't know. Like, Grand Theft Auto 5 at the time of release was so amazing and ahead of the game. It was so incredible. We had never seen a game at that scale with that much like AI and systems just like at work all the time. And it's something you can look back on now and you're like, but at the time when it came out on Xbox 360, was insane.
It's funny that you say that. At the time, I felt underwhelmed for some strange reason, but I feel like if I were to look back on it through that lens, I actually might be more impressed now.
Incredibly impressed at just how good the GPS in the game was.
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane.
That's so funny.
So good. There's so many highways and roads to take, and the GPS is always spot on. Like it like,
is it your favorite Grand Theft Auto?
No,
you just said Vice City. You said Vice City. Yeah,
because of the story and the characters. But I'm also a Mafia fan flick, personally.
Sure.
It'd be really, really hard to top that in my mind, because I was just like, I'm playing Goodfellas. Like, this is great.
Yeah,
it was spot on.
I liked 4, and maybe it's just Liberty City and New York City. I'm not sure. I just
loves 4.
I love 4 too. Most people now, I think it's actually, we're hard to find. I think GTA 4 fans are hard to find.
I would agree with that.
But I don't know. I don't know what it was. It's just gritty, grungier.
I like 4 more than San Andreas. I tried replaying San Andreas. I just never really got into San Andreas.
Yeah, I think some of those games are,
I like Vice City, and then 3, and then 4, and then maybe San Andreas, and 5 probably slots in there over 3. I mean, I really liked 5 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like the multiple characters. I like the kind of heisty stuff.
The heights, obviously, that was the best.
That was a big thing.
The best part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was just, the game was so big, and it was, there was so much to do.
Yeah.
You know, I just kind of the
See,
amount of
now
times I've started and restopped and replayed, like Red Dead Redemption is such a great game, narratively, character wise, the world, like how true they are to
Mhm.
it, and a complete miss for me. I
Yeah.
loathed playing it. It wasn't anywhere as good as Red Dead Redemption, the first one in my
Yeah.
mind, like RDR
Yeah.
2. So there of like, I think there is a lot of people that are like, if the next Grand Theft Auto is just like Red Dead Redemption 2, then that'll be awesome. I'm like, that couldn't be further from what I want from the series. Like
I can't
that would,
imagine that being a thing. I
that
feel
would
like Red Dead
kill the
Redemption tried to
franchise for
solidify
me. It would
itself
be
as something
so
totally separate.
disheartening if they look at the recipe that RDR2 is, and they're like, what if we just have some great characters and a really tight story in this big open world, and we just let people do that, and we just
Mhm.
get rid of all of the other stuff. We won't be edgy, we won't be punchy, it won't be satirical, it won't be funny. Like we'll just do this really cool dramatic story, and it's like,
I could see
I'm
it.
not. I'll play it, but it's like that's not. I don't.
I could totally see it.
So can I, and it's like that's not.
Mhm.
I don't want that at all.
Yeah.
That's the least of my concerns.
Mhm. I thought you were focusing more on the I don't know, up its own ass kind of control scheme and like how
No, no, no.
realistic
I'm
and
not
everything.
even
Like
going
none
that
of that. Yeah,
deep.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not even going that
Because
deep. I'm just
yeah,
design wise, just
totally.
highlights
I could see that.
on a rubric. Like we'll just do this. It'll be safe. It'll be good. We'll have
Mhm.
voice actors. We'll have motion capture. It'll be good.
Yeah.
But like we'll just do this without all this other stuff that we used to do,
Mhm.
and we'll deliver that. And it's like, oh, that would be depressing.
Well, we used to look at some of these marquee games as doing something to really, and I think this is the kind of the mission statement of Grand Theft Auto. I think I've heard them say like, if we're not going to do another one until like we're landing on something that really pushes video games forward.
Yeah.
Right. And that's used to be like Grand Theft Auto was there. I feel like, much to your chagrin, I'm sure Final Fantasy used to do this on like a graphical front. It's like you never seen anything as good looking as like Final Fantasy 7 when that came out, or whatever the next Final Fantasy game was. Like that to me was like what its contribution to games.
But I remember the day I got my PlayStation 2, and I had some Final Fantasy game that did blow me away by how well
Totally.
it looked at the time. I was like, I hate Final Fantasy, but this is great.
Totally. Those are some of these very storied franchises. They have to do something with it. I'm not just saying it's always graphics, but it's got to be something like gameplay or some sort of mechanic. And so I'm very curious on that front. What is it that Grand Theft Auto is going to push forward? Like that gives me a little bit of hope. That keeps me at least a little bit intrigued. Is that there is a lot of money to this. There's a history to this franchise that they have to show us something that like you've never seen this before.
See, I was talking about this with Kyle, and he kind of hit me with this thing. He was like, I don't think they're going to do that. He's like, because if nobody's talking about Grand Theft Auto, like if a new Grand Theft Auto releases and like the media isn't upset about it, then like, what is it?
That's what I'm saying.
You know, like
it seems to me like that was the thing. There's obviously all these other things about it, but it seemed like that was the leading piece. It was notorious.
Was that game? Yeah, it was notorious. You're right. It was like that rebel without a cause. Like we're gonna make a game. Your mom's not gonna like it. It was cool to have because of that. You know, like it wasn't a thing. And yeah, it seems like now they're ready to let that go after what 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Been that way for what 25 years?
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah.
You know,
yeah, and you can run down anybody. You can run down pedestrians. What an awful thing that is, which obviously it is.
And it's like, you know, just another open world.
Yeah, kids trying to buy it at EB Games or GameStop, and the person warning the mom, like, you know, they
even warn them.
Hire,
you don't even need to be 17 to get this or whatever. And like you just sell to anybody. Like that just feels. Do they feel this just loses all of its soul? It's like that's not GTA though. It doesn't. I don't know. And I hate saying
it's weird.
Like, I'm not actively encouraging, you know, it's a hard line to sit on.
Totally.
I understand somebody else that hates it would listen to how I'm talking. They're like, oh, you just want debauchery and all. It's like, I don't, but I want them to freely make the game that they want to make. And maybe they are. Maybe this is the game they finally want to make.
Well, and it's a different like it's a different set of people. So what is that? Yeah, I mean that naturally comes with some different things.
Now begs ask, like, is it Grand Theft? Like, Grand Theft Auto?
I'm so glad that you said that in that way of like you just want something to be edgy for edgy's sake or whatever that is. Like I do, but I don't. Like I don't actively want people to be upset and offended. That's not what I'm after. But also, you don't have to play the game. I kind of continue to come back to that thing. Like, maybe this game just isn't for you.
It's just that, like, it used to be okay to offend people. Nobody liked it, but it's just sometimes you're just offended.
You're told to like keep going, walk
now
on.
It feels like a crime to offend people. That must be like, retrofitted and made correct. And it's like, but it's not. Like, some people could just be offended.
Yep.
We don't have to change everything to make sure that nobody's ever offended ever.
Well, you're never going to get to that. There's an impossible state.
That was I'm not sure if you remember this, but that was my thing. July 4th. I really like fireworks.
With fireworks.
I love fireworks, and people were really mad that I said that. And I was like, I can't believe that this is such a divisive thing to like. Now I have to be afraid of who I tell I like fireworks to for fear of offending somebody. Like, that's absurd.
This is what people say when it's slippery slope.
Yeah, and some people, my dog doesn't like it. I'm like, well, then maybe your dog just doesn't. My dog doesn't like it either. And I guess for one night a year, my dog just doesn't happen to like things outside. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, that used to be okay. And now we're in a place where it's not okay anymore. It's like, that's okay. It's okay.
Unfollowed Donnie Reese.
You don't have to like it anymore. That's fine. I've always been that way. That's fine. You can unfollow and block to your heart's content. I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
But like, that makes me lean into it more.
Yes.
And that's where it wasn't fireworks.
That was always the case for these things. You used to, that's where the money was made, actually. You go like, oh, that pisses you off? I'm doubling down on that. And guess what? Everybody else who doesn't agree with you is going to like, they're searching for something like this.
I'm bracing for after these remarks of Grand Theft Auto is I count myself among the apparently 150 million people that actively play these games. And it's like, if they release this thing to all of those people that are expecting, like, what, like, if they do it well, I'm sure it'll be.
It's called Grand Theft Auto.
But if it's not, if it doesn't have those things, like, do you do like irreparable damage to the franchise? What if, like, let's just say this, what if it's a miss?
Yeah.
What if it comes out and people are like, oh, it's so generic and cookie cutter? And
I think they can survive one. They at least one. I think it's similar to like something like Mass Effect. Mass Effect will survive Andromeda, and they'll move on hopefully. But you can do two. Mass Effect certainly can't survive two. Grand Theft Auto, I feel like, still has some cachet. They have a bit of a buffer. They might even be able to survive two bad games.
I'm just wondering if they make a really good campaign that they put in a couple easy shots in just to let people like, we still got it. We did it. We did it.
I know.
One. That's what I'm expecting. That's honestly that's the expectation now. Like, I'm expecting a game that has like one or two moments where they really give you something, and they're like, otherwise we're playing it pretty safe over here.
But they have to be the ones to like lead the charge, because obviously nobody else, I don't think anybody else really is. There's not really a game that I think like, ooh, that one is offensive, or made people think like, and it's not just offensive person, I guess, but like this
Mafia 2 had like the pinup girls, like the actual porn. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
The Mafia 3 had like tons of racism. That was a big fucking deal. People were really like, they were still, and then there's a part of me that appreciates creators even venturing down those, like, you think about Naughty Dog. Think about what they did with Last of Us 2 and how many edgy things and topics that they venture into with Last of Us 2. That became a very big moment, like, for a lot of conversation. I enjoy that part of any medium. It's not just a video game. Just TV series, movies, music. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's people talking. It's a way to broach topics and make people think.
Yes, that's the thing. That's the actual disappointing.
I don't want safe Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly. This is maybe where we've been dancing around. There's so much conversation happening about everything right now. There's so many things happening. What a shame it would be to not dive into that, to dance around it. Like, this is about as rich culturally, for better or for worse, but like culturally, there's so much conversation happening. Like, punch that right in the mouth, like that. You could go right for it, totally. But I feel like it's going to be circling around it, trying to do something else, trying to avoid all these other things.
In the studio, it sure as hell seems like it.
It's the richest there's ever been. It's just like, fertile for something to be said and done about it.
Jason said that in his article. He was like, the developers are wondering what a satire of today's world even looks like. And I'm like, because they're like, it's already so satirical of itself. I'm like, no, there's plenty here. Tons.
Totally. And it's always been the case.
4 months.
Yeah. Yeah, like the notion of like the topic itself, everything that we're talking about could be the center of the game itself.
Yeah.
Of censorship and the notion of, especially with this game, because it's been around for so long, anybody like our age who grew up playing this game grew up with parents or the grown-ups around who are trying to shut it down. You do not play Grand Theft Auto because it's bad for you and it will do all these things. And now all these people are grown-ups.
Our subculture, our kids are losing our kids.
Yes. You know? And they didn't know any better. So like, whatever, they get a pass.
Barbara Bush passing laws.
Dude, like, yeah. We grew up in that era. We were so mad at the grown-ups for trying to take away our fun, and we knew that it was harmless and whatever else. And now we're the grown-ups, and everybody around us is trying to shut it all down.
Remember, like all of the censored CDs and stuff at Walmart. And we're never gonna sell.
Oh my gosh!
Yes. And Grand Theft Auto, for better and for worse, is the forefront of video games on that front.
I think I finally figure out, as if I didn't really understand why, but like why you like horror so much, because you don't just like make a movie and hack people up in it. And like, that's not a good thing. Obviously, like violence is not a good thing that you want to see happen in real life, but there's sometimes in the world, you need something to just push the boundaries and like, go like freak me out a little bit.
Horror ventures into so many different places that are taboo. Or less spoken about or need to be spoken about. Like racism in horror is not new. There's a whole genre for racist horror movies, right? You know, like, and there's so much like, again, you see different things and it opens you to different points of view and stuff like that. And this is old as this is in the horror space. This is old as horror movies.
Yeah.
You're talking Day of the Dead shit. Like this goes way back.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You know? So yeah, I've always liked that about the medium, and it's something that I think I've always clinged to.
It's just inherently wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's you sign up for that. It's a horror movie. It's gonna have some sort of, maybe there's a spiritual thing. Maybe
movies that are against government oversight, consumerism, materialism, racism, sexism, that shit there and then some. And I've always loved horror movies for it. I want to see more of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think enough video games do. I think it's very rare, but I think Grand Theft Auto was one that did.
Yeah. Like real life can be pure. We can get into like actual life and whatever that even means. But as far as entertainment goes, I just want everything. You know, I can have my power wash simulators, but I also want to have something that is totally outrageous and out there, because I don't want the creativity to be limited. And that's kind of what that represents to me.
Exactly. And I think that is the line that definitely me, that I'm drawing. It's like, I don't want anybody to be stifled. I don't want guardrails. Don't tell somebody what is off and on limits. Like there is no limits. Like let them do whatever they want. And look, if they get completely trashed for going too far, and it like, that's fine. That's the market speaking for what it is, but don't stop them from going where they think they need to go with it.
Well, the thing is, now you can't tell if anybody's being genuine or not about them actually being upset. Are they being upset because they feel like they should be upset, or are they actually upset? And that's a whole other thing.
Comedy.
Totally.
Years. It's like, you can't tell people what is and what isn't a joke, and punching up versus punching. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, man.
Where you want to punch. And if they don't like it, if people don't like it, they'll let them know. If it really bombs, they'll let them know.
Totally.
You know, like then it won't be as successful. But like,
you can't speak on behalf of anybody else. Like a group of people, especially, or one other person, like what you think. Like, I don't know, man. I've had lots of experiences in this world, and one of the things that I kind of like that I can speak very specifically to, I have a friend who's committed suicide. I've gone through very, very, very dark times. Give me all the jokes. Give me all the suicide jokes. Push the boundaries, dude. Like that's probably a terrible thing for a lot of people to hear. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You do you. But I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to tear down a comedian for telling a joke about
levity, especially if it's done well.
Sometimes it can help. And the point is not just for like, give me a suicide joke. Like sometimes it can help. Sometimes it can help people get through some shit, through some hard stuff.
Open that up, like, and it can let people, feel.
Yeah. Yes. Like just broach the topic. And if it's like, sometimes dark humor helps some people in this weird kind of way. And people always take it to the worst thing. Like, well, if you say that, then you make it okay for other people to say this. And I get that thing. But man, you can't tell somebody else how to react.
It's not the same if a comedian's on stage versus somebody just on the street. It's completely different settings. We operate under different rules.
It's different rule. And isn't that's too complicated
you
though.
you can't just walk into a comedy club and like, just start throwing stuff like that. It's a comedy club. If you're offended, you can leave.
Exactly. This kind of what you sign up for. It's the horror. Like I love. I think we talked about this in a couple times in a couple different ways, but like the horror equivalency is my home base for this whole thing.
Yeah, that's why
it's inherently bad.
It's a big reason why I've always loved. It is a big reason why I've always loved the genre. I also I think it always has profound topics. It always has really great like metaphors that it's always trying to push. Specifically the greats. Like the messages of a lot of horror movies are definitely there. But even outside of that, I always love that it's a great place for folks to start. So many great writers, great directors, great actors got their starting in a low budget horror movie, and it made people do more with less. Yeah, and I think a lot of those same attributes can be applied to a development studio. A lot of times we talk about indie games, and we love how an indie game will take a topic like Dragon Cancer. Nobody wants a game about cancer, but like they did it and it made me feel, and like I think I'll be forever more sympathetic, to that struggle than I was without it. And I would hate for that game to go away because somebody was like, well, there's really people with cancer and you can't do that.
Yeah. Yes. That's just it, because you're right. And I think generally speaking, the commentary around that game is thank goodness it exists. But like in this like slippery slope kind of world, like maybe it shouldn't exist, because it is so personal and dark and heavy and all these things. And somewhere along the line, somebody can go, well, maybe that shouldn't exist.
But because somebody, took a moment to share that experience with you, it opened so many thousands of other people are now like open, and they think about that experience. Like every time I even hear the word, I think about that experience, and I think it puts me in a more empathetic position than I was before. And it's because I played that game,
and because it was allowed to be created.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there was no boundaries on what was and wasn't acceptable.
Yeah. You really can't trace that back to the, like what types of games can be created. Like you keep going backwards in time. And at a certain point there's these moments, these things that change and change the landscape of what is possible, which inspires somebody else to do something else, and which inspires somebody else to do something else. And that's why I was talking about Grand Theft Auto and needing to lead the charge on this, because the next generation of like developers and storytellers need to be inspired by something that pushes the boundaries in some sort of way. Again, doesn't have to be offensive, but something has to lead it. And Breath of the Wild, I think, is a good example of this. There's these games that just do something you've never seen before, and somebody plays that for the first time. They go, when I grow up, I'm going to make something like that with 20 years benefit of technology and all these other things. And that is what propels all of this stuff. But if everything is watered down and diluted, then there's nothing to inspire anyone. And then you're just killing off, in worst case scenario, like the entire future of the medium.
Yep. And I want to be clear, just because that is an extreme take. I don't think Rockstar's going to do that.
You don't think what?
I don't think Rockstar is going to do that. I think that's like the easy headline, like to kind of grab right now.
I hope not. I
think when we see it, we'll understand that that's not what they're doing. Maybe it won't be as punchy as it used to be, but like I don't think they're going to go that far with it either. I don't think it's going to be generic, watered down. I think it's an appropriate fear to have, but I think they can do both.
I thought for some reason Cyberpunk comes to mind on this as well, where maybe it was hyped up to a point where I thought it was going to push RPGs, action RPGs, to something new. And you played it much more than I did, but my general my thought on this, and then what I'm gathering from people, is that it's not that. And it's not that they were constrained by the same types of things, but there's opportunities for this kind of thing to happen, and sucks when it misses.
It's like if you remove, the setting, the performance and graphics and stuff like that, and it's just it's Mass Effect-y type of role playing game. Yeah, it's not really changing a whole lot there.
Yeah, which is okay for for that to happen.
I think it does that very well. I mean, I finished it, I beat it. It's one of my favorite games that I've played this year, and I don't even like Mass Effect. So I mean, for me, different place, different time does a lot for me. But I definitely, when I think back in the experience, there's definitely a part of me it's like, man, a Cyberpunk 2 could be really special. Yeah, I could see what they're doing, and I could see like having done well and having done better, like where it could go. It could be better.
Yeah. You think about like the hallmarks of these games. Like when I think about The Witcher and people's commentary about The Witcher, it's like even the side quests matter and they had rich stories and all these things. Like that's what, in addition to the open world and the characters and everything, it seemed like side quests were the big hallmark to it. And I'm not sure, is it the character customization? Like what's the big takeaway? Like what's the reason?
Customization was all that great.
Yeah.
With you.
It's just the world.
You can do a lot of cool cyberpunky things like putting metal plates in your cheeks and stuff like that, but like,
yeah,
it's all cosmetic, and there's not a lot of it either. Like it's, like you can do a lot of different stuff, but it's not like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just not like abundant. It's not like
sure
bajillion options. You can do whatever you want. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's like every other create a character. Like, you can add stuff and like you go to shops, you can buy new clothes and stuff, but it's like, is that really new? That's not new.
Yeah. So interesting, man. Video games are just so fascinating on the front.
Design wise, I very much thought Cyberpunk was kind of like a waypoint to waypoint type of RPG.
Right.
Yeah. I even remember, I think I was even said recently, I was talking to Dev and I was just like, the open world it was really beautiful to drive through and it was very cool to see, so many things like on schedule, people and stuff and billboards and ads and cars. And like, that's cool. But like, it didn't add to the game. Like Grand Theft Auto's world adds to the gameplay. It adds to the story.
Yeah. It's like they start there and then tell a story that could have existed in that.
I don't think Cyberpunk's did. Like Cyberpunk could have been a more linear experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind was at. Like video games are interesting in this front because at one point I'm saying I want something to push it forward, show us what's possible. But at the same time, I'm saying Gears 4 was a really good experience and I liked how tight that is. Like I kind of want that too. Like I'm acknowledging how complicated even me as one individual. How do you build games to placate all the different tastes out there, ever changing?
Angry, and that's why reviews are always, even great games have bad reviews.
Yeah.
People that hate Breath of the Wild.
Like good point.
There are people that legit hate Breath of the Wild, and then there are people that hate Breath of the Wild because of how much fanfare
people like it. Exactly.
Like, you just can't. I mean, that's ultimately you can't, and I think that's the point. Ultimately, that's the point that drives me more mad about GTA. Like you can't appease everybody, right? So
don't even try.
Just do the awesome thing that you want to do, and let this be damn. But
when you're that big, holy crap.
Because I do think they're the studio that can withstand it. There are very few that could, but they absolutely are. They could do whatever the hell they want to do, and everybody could be super mad, and nothing would change. They would sell a bajillion copies and make a ton of money because they're Rockstar and it's Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly. Like, stick with the name. Like, know what you got there. There's definitely a strength there. You're not the same as everyone else.
Well, I hope this doesn't turn out to be Grand Theft LA Noire. I'm going to be very...
That's the other weird thing. I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, in the past, they've had all these other weird experimental games that build systems and they try out all these things that end up in a Grand Theft Auto game. The last game was Red Dead Redemption 2, and now they're going to this. Like, they haven't done a like ping pong game or Bully or anything like that. Like
Bully, no Midnight Club.
Yeah.
I think they've gone away from all of that.
Kind of wish they would.
They just do their thing now. They just do. I would love, oh my God, if they were like Rockstar Games presents Midnight Club. I'm like, oh my, I'd be so excited. But yeah, I think
you and only you. Yeah, I think Bully would be up there too. I think Bully would get people very excited. I've never played it. I've never played, but I don't even like the name.
He loved it. I didn't like it as much, but he definitely loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something else out there, but that definitely jumps out to me that now they've kind of honed in on these big two, and maybe what has made the previous one so good is that disciplined practice, that they're going to try out all these kind of weird side projects and see how that goes.
I think more and less they just rope a lot of that stuff back into their big franchises. They grab all those little things.
That's what I'm saying.
I was just looking. I want to make sure it was Rockstar. I thought it was, but it was Manhunt.
Yeah, dude, for the Wii. Holy
Manhunt 1 and Manhunt 2 in particular. Talk about boundary pushing forward.
Pushing the boundaries, man.
Went in places. People off, and I don't think, based off what we've heard, I don't think they'd ever touch that again.
I know it sucks that games are so expensive because you just want, like, let's get a good collection of 5 M-rated, 18, whatever the like.
Let's get weird.
Beyond, yeah. Sure, yeah. Just get that rated.
17, baby.
And yes, thank you. Yes, exactly. Let's get a couple of those per year. But the people who buy games and comment on them have become like they actually kill it before they can even exist. They become the parents who ran Marilyn Manson out of town.
You're right, but I wasn't thinking that's how you were going to end that sentence. But I actually think it's really ironic and a really good point. They've become the parents that they used to hate.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say before.
Yeah,
we grew up playing Grand Theft Auto 2, and our parents were like, "You 100%. Cannot play that." And it's like, I hate you. I hate the establishment trying to tell me what to do.
Circumvent it, right? We had our friends get it. We had, like there was all these stories of people like getting other people to borrow the game and stuff like that. And then here we are. We grow up, and our own people covering the game. They sound a lot like those parents, don't they?
They sure do, man. And it's like. We often talk about isn't life great now because dorks like us we have a voice and we found friends and like we're not outcasts anymore. And I wonder, this thought is just occurring to me, what are the outcasts doing? Like, we're not outcasts. We have podcasts. We talk to each other. We're all friends here. But it's not like we've eradicated the thing of outcasts.
Popular culture.
Sure, but there's a subculture in geekdom or just in culture in general. Like, there's still deviants out there. What are they doing? They don't have a voice. There's always some people who are out there who don't necessarily have a voice, who are going to be upset because people are speaking as if they are speaking on behalf of everyone. And that's exactly how dorks felt like us, like back in the day. Like, what are you talking for us for? Why are you telling us what this is going to do to us? Why are you saying that this is frying our brains? We know that it's not. Stop speaking for us. So I'm curious, like, we've been thinking this whole time.
I have never hired nor beat up a prostitute because of the amount of time that I've played Grand Theft Auto. This has never happened.
Probably most 99% of the 150 million people.
Bystander. I've never done any of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when people think that their commentary on something is representative of the entirety of society, it's just like, man,
it's like Gears of War.
Watch out.
Call of Duty has never made me a violent person.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that thesis makes any sense, but the notion of the outcast never have a voice. We think that we have outed the outcasts and they all have voices now. That's not true. It's just different. That the outcasts are different. They're quietly doing something.
I wonder
we don't know what that is.
They're just not quiet anymore. I think a lot of social media has just given a voice to the voiceless.
Maybe
so that there are none. Like,
but that's what I'm stating is the assumption.
Constantly speaking,
people think everybody has a voice. I don't know if they do.
Constantly wronged.
I don't know. Maybe they do, but it's certainly not it's not represented in a centralized or recognized channel or format or anything. I don't think.
Sure.
It's not like Kotaku has like, here's what the outcasts are saying. It's like, this is what Kotaku says.
The beauty of it now is that with everybody doing it, you mean it'd be hard to quantify who's who.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some channels out now that I say it out loud, there's definitely some YouTube channels out there that people hate, and maybe those are, I don't know. Even then, I just don't feel like that's the outcast. And you that's a good counterpoint to what I'm trying to say here. Maybe just everybody does have a voice, because how could you not? Twitter and YouTube and everything exists.
Even minuscule, small outlets and channels and groups. I mean, they're still out there doing things, creating content, doing their thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Me either.
Not that we're setting out to solve anything.
But I love these people are sounding a lot like their parents that they used to. I mean, I think that's profound.
That's it. Oh, that's
you nailed it.
The most frustrating thing in the world.
Like when I hear some of these articles that are being written and people commenting in the threads talking about punching up versus punch down and what doesn't need to happen, like they do sound a lot like moms that I used to see on TV trying to ban this. So they sound, is spot on.
It was one step at a time, like one thing after another, and slowly but surely, like bam, boom.
You've just embodied, you just stepped in those shoes.
Yep.
Wow.
That should be a movie in and of itself. Like, that's something like, oh snap, like what have I done? You have that like reveal at the end. You look in the mirror.
You look up, you're like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah, like somebody takes a picture of you like saying something, and it's like you put it right next to a picture from 30 years ago.
It is spot on.
Yep. So and maybe that's what I'm like, where my comments maybe come from, is trying not to do that.
Yeah.
But obviously still wanting like a good world for my kids to grow up in.
Yep.
You know, I still have hopefully a good moral center.
Well, that's the thing, is that nobody wants there just to be outrage, and nobody wants They're to be mean. Like nobody wants,
Right.
just to like go hard, just pencil out somebody, and like, oh my god, this Sean Capri's a dick. That nobody wants that in the game.
Yeah.
Like you can play with stereotypes.
Sometimes it's just about pick your battles, though.
Okay, you can make fun of a celebrity. That's okay.
Sure.
Those are still things to do. Like do that. Like make fun of celebrity pop culture. Make fun of.
Dude, like the roast on Comedy Central is some of the funniest things I've ever seen.
TV. Make fun of social media. Make fun of these things that we're doing today. Make fun of political
influencers
and make fun of these things that we all deal with, because I could use some of that levity, because otherwise it's very.
What else is there?
Distraught. Distraught place to be. So
yeah, we should make fun of everything. Make fun of everything, Donnie, and listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to this 80 track recommendation. Your mixtape. That's the word I was dancing around before. You got a Donnie Reese mixtape for.
Yeah, I guess people don't do
Chili Peppers
no more. It's just like, here's my Spotify playlist. That doesn't.
They got to come back eventually. Everything comes back.
Cassettes are definitely coming back. Actually, that's a thing.
What is?
People are collecting cassettes again.
Cassettes. Yeah. It's bound to happen. Like this has stopped surprising me. Although we skipped floppy drives. We skipped
my daughter
and zip
my daughter's showing her outfit for school, and she looks like an extra in American Pie. I was like, my generation called. They like their clothes back.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean that's a whole other side tangent to what we were talking about. American Pie movies. Those movies are gone. The raunchy comedies. Yeah.
Can't do that again.
Yeah. In some cases, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I loved them when I was a kid. So
I do too. I have them.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine the things that would be said about the original American Pie today.
Oh my gosh. Oh, dude, like the homophobia at the very least.
I would say just
everything is gay.
Active broadcasting, like a sex act under somebody without somebody's permission. Oh my!
No kidding.
My!
Yes. Look, that's amazing.
That would be hit so hard today.
Oh man, yeah, it is. It's fun. It's just on the cusp of technology to allow it to do that, but not on YouTube or whatever.
I don't think I ever even thought of anybody doing that until I saw American Pie. I was like, holy shit. That's a webcam and a computer. You could totally do that.
Yeah.
And then now,
oh my gosh. Yeah. Now it's never. We all have cameras.
Only
cameras are not a luxury item anymore. They're on every
/Sean Capri.
No.
$5 a month.
Dude, I like donuts way too much.
There's an obvious Chili Pepper joke to make with the donuts, but I'll let the listeners fill in the that one. Sean, it's 9:30. I gotta go. I gotta take my kids. I gotta get prepared.
You have to work tomorrow?
To school in the morning.
Yeah, it's a holiday for us tomorrow.
The kids go back to school in the morning. Jack's starting middle school, so I gotta.
Boo! Oh my gosh, you got a heavy week. You got a big week.
Yeah,
these are moments.
Early morning, man. I'm gonna be waking up at 6 a.m. to drive the kid to school, because he says he wants to be taken to school in the Challenger.
All right.
I guess he thinks it's going to get some cred.
No, you got to make a good
in the hallways.
Man, I feel for you, Donnie.
Did you see the car that Jack?
Holy crap! The things you're about to discover matter to these kids this week. You know, like that's the big deal. Like, I wish you patience and understanding and compassion this week, because
your time's coming.
I know it is. I know. I'm not saying
your time's coming.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm trying to recognize the week that you're about to have, that mind space that your kids are in. It's temporary. But it's, we're all there. What are they going to wear? What are they going to, all these things. Everything is heightened.
They just got back from school shopping.
From where?
School shopping.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Clothes. Wife took them to the mall.
Good luck, man. I feel for you.
Yeah.
I'll be thinking about you.
Yep.
Good thing you got Chili Peppers this week.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's been fun, man.
It's been fun. Sweet hangs.
Sweet hangs.